Chapter 245, The Skymending Group. The train station in Danxia City. A woman wearing sunglasses came out with two teenagers. Is this the little place? One of the bald boys looked around, his tone slightly disdainful. Let's go. That vice leader hasn't descended from the heavens for a long time. Since he sent us to pick him up, we must handle this matter perfectly. Another boy with a square face, carrying two large suitcases, walked ahead towards the station exit. Keep a low profile. There are law enforcement monks patrolling the entrance. The woman in sunglasses used a secret telepathic communication technique to tell her two companions what she had observed. The two boys, who had been somewhat nonchalant, immediately became serious, pretending to be law-abiding citizens and obediently carrying their luggage as they went through the ticket check and exited the gate. Why don't we take a plane? After exiting the train station, the bald boy felt a bit strange. Although he had received good treatment as a Foundation establishment cultivator on the train, it was still a huge waste of time. Each plane is protected by a level 3 barrier. Once our identities are exposed, we won't be able to escape. But the train is different. It's only protected by a level 2 barrier. If the three of us go all out, we can still blast a hole and get out. The woman in sunglasses explained that although all three of them were Foundation establishment cultivators, they had also practiced the secret techniques of the ancient Taoist lineage. Although they can hide their aura perfectly, there's always a chance of something going wrong. Every year, quite a few people are exposed after practicing forbidden techniques. Faced with the relentless pursuit of the immortal sects, heaven-mending group, their first consideration before each operation was their escape route. This small city actually has two golden core cultivators in charge. The square-faced boy took out his phone and looked up the high-ranking figures in Danxia City. When he saw the Crimson Robe Master and the Abbot Qing Master, he couldn't help but marvel. It should be noted that among the 72 blessed lands of the immortal sect, some places don't even have any cultivators who have reached the core formation stage. It is a bit extravagant, but as Master Shen Yuxuan said, we don't need to worry about these two golden core cultivators. We just need to take the target away. After the woman in sunglasses finished buffering the target photo that had just been sent to her phone, she looked at it herself and then showed it to her two companions before immediately deleting it. Got it, let's split up. I'll go connect with the hidden contacts in this city and find out the target's location. After listening, the bald boy nodded, then called the supplier he had arranged to meet earlier to confirm that everything he needed was ready. Okay, then I'll go collect the weapons. In the end, only the square-faced boy was left. He seemed to be searching for something on his phone and finally found a tourist attraction he wanted to visit. There's a zoo outside the city. I'll go there to kill some time. Call me when you're done. The woman in sunglasses frowned after hearing this, but considering his lineage, she could only nod. Keep a low profile and don't attract attention. This mission is mainly to train you. The square-faced boy was named Chuoba. At a young age, he had already reached the 3rd level of Foundation establishment and was a key figure being cultivated by a certain lineage within the Ascension sect. Don't worry, there are no late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators in Danxia City, and if the two golden core cultivators don't make a move, I'm invincible. Although he was only at the 3rd level of the Foundation establishment stage, Chuoba was very confident in his strength. He once fought a direct battle with a deputy leader of the Heaven Mending Group and escaped. Keep in mind that the deputy leader was a Foundation establishment level 6 expert, who was 3 levels stronger than him. Ascension is not visible. After saying those final words, the three of them turned and went their separate ways. Chen Mobai withdrew his fingers from Yang Jing's forehead. Golden rays of light burst forth, eventually transforming into an equilateral rhombus mark, which was etched into her sea of consciousness. All right, as long as her spiritual realm surpasses mine, this seal can ensure that she returns to a normal person. 3 days passed in a flash. With Chen Mobai's focused attention, he easily mastered Tao and fulfilled his promise to King Nu. Thank you. Seeing this, Kong Feiken sincerely thanked them. but I feel that I will be able to establish my foundation next year. Because I have cultivated 2 parts of divine techniques, my divine sense will be boosted twice as much every time I advance in my realm. At this moment, Yang Jing, who was sitting on the sofa, raised his hand and asked a question. Are you so sure you'll be able to establish your foundation next year? Chen Mobai was quite surprised. He had worked hard for more than 3 years at the Divine Wood sect to achieve foundation establishment, and with the help of the cultivation techniques and resources from the immortal sect, he was able to achieve foundation establishment at such a young age. Even Qingnu, who possesses a heavenly spiritual root, dares not say that she will be able to establish her foundation next year. Actually, I could have reached the foundation establishment stage this year, but I interrupted the process of hearing and comprehending the Tao myself. Yang Jing said something that left Chen Mobai speechless. Are you even human? Press it down a little more. If you really can't suppress it anymore, I'll refine a pill to break your cultivation level for you. Anyway, university lasts for 10 years. Once one of us advances to the second level of foundation establishment, then you can start foundation establishment. We must always ensure that one of us is of a higher level than you, so that we can suppress your second personality. The eldest sister, Qingnu, made the decision and Yangjing nodded obediently. Kong Feikin, standing to the side, opened his mouth, as if to say that this was going a bit too far. But when he thought that he and Yang Jing both had different spiritual roots, and the latter had already attained enlightenment, while he had consumed so many foundation-building spiritual items but still failed to establish his foundation, he couldn't help but feel gloomy and could no longer speak. Will your doubled increase in divine sense be useful to my divine control technique? Chen Mobai noticed something else and couldn't help but ask. They are also useful. Divine control technique and divided divine technique are both improved versions of divine devouring technique. It's just that the dual divinity technique was modified in the wrong direction and was classified as a forbidden technique. The divine control technique is a successfully improved version, as long as it does not exceed the limit of one's own purple mansion sea of consciousness. It can double the strength of one's divine sense every time one breaks through a realm. Yang Jing nodded, answering Chen Mobai's question. The latter's eyes lit up and he immediately sat down, asking her to explain in detail. However, after listening, his expression became somewhat conflicted. In the immortal sect, the foundation establishment stage is divided into 9 levels. This means that there are a total of 8 breakthroughs from the 1st to the 9th level of foundation establishment, which can enhance one's divine sense by 16 times. The problem is that Chen Mobai is currently building his foundation with the longevity scripture. This heavenly river realm technique is only divided into early, middle, and late stages, and at most, it only requires 2 breakthroughs. Although the foundation establishment perfection is classified as a realm, it is actually the peak of the late foundation establishment stage. The scripture of immortality focuses more on the mental techniques for achieving the foundation establishment stage, specifically how to form the golden core. It seems that we can only try to find solutions using 2-phase work and critical methods. After all, it was really too much to ask Chen Mobai to create the cultivation method from the 1st to the 9th level of the foundation establishment stage of the longevity scripture from scratch. Although the formless puppet possesses the ability to deduce, it can only evolve cultivation techniques to best suit its own spiritual root and physique. It cannot create its own cultivation techniques. This requires at least the upper level of the core formation realm to achieve. Fortunately, he still had the pure Yang scroll as a backup. This is a supreme technique with impeccable lineage, revised by the patriarch of the immortal sect, with 9 levels of foundation establishment, 9 levels of golden core, and 9 levels of nascent soul. If he were to break through step by step, his spiritual sense might surge to an unprecedented level of power. Remember, your divine sense cannot exceed the limit that your purple mansion sea of consciousness can hold, or you will die from a head explosion. Seeing that his expression was a bit strange, Yang Jing emphasized again to prevent him from going astray. Don't worry, my danchin is very spacious right now. King Nu hadn't told her younger siblings about Bimu Linxin's matter, so Kong Fiken and Yang Jing both had strange expressions after hearing Chen Mobai's words. The clear eye bamboo spirit dew is almost ready, but I still need some spirit essence. King Nu changed the subject, and Chen Mobai instantly understood, immediately saying he would go to her house to get it. After instructing Kong Fiken to take good care of Yanjing, the two went out and headed towards the alchemy room of Beiping Pharmacy. Thanks a lot. No, I should be thanking you. Without your help, Yanjing would have suffered a lot more. King Nu shook her head, skillfully crushed the dried spirit stones, weighed the required amount, and poured them into the medicine pool. By the way, have you ever heard of the Sky Mending Group? Chen Mobai suddenly asked a question, and King Nu nodded with her delicate brows furrowed. This is a special authority under the Hall of Righteous Law. They come to the 4 major academies to recruit people every year. Because of my good alchemy skills, I was invited by the 4th group last year, but my mentor declined on my behalf. What? You received an invitation too? Chen Mobai nodded. 3 days ago, Lan Haitian invited him to join the 6th group of the Sky Mending Group. He described the benefits, saying that 1 year's work was equivalent to 10 years for an ordinary foundation establishment cultivator, and that there would be a full set of second-tier magic artifacts, the right to command the law enforcement departments of blessed lands and grotto heavens in special circumstances, and even that they would receive spirit stones from the immortal sect every year. Chen Mobai inwardly scoffed at the idea of spirit stones. However, Lan Haitian also said that the Heaven Mending Group could allocate all the resources of the immortal sect, such as the sacred medicine, golden liquid jade returning pill, that helps with core formation. You can get it directly as long as you work in the Sky Mending Group for 60 years. This greatly appealed to Chen Mobai. He knew that even the Dance Weapon Academy couldn't gather enough of the 666 kinds of spiritual herbs to refine a batch of golden liquid jade rejuvenation pills. Only the immortal sects had this capability. Lan Haitian stated that the reason he joined the Sky Mending Group was for a golden elixir jade rejuvenation pill. He's almost completed 60 years in office and is looking for a successor. He feels that Chen Mobai is very promising. The fighting talent he revealed during the entrance exam in Danxia City 4 years ago really caught his eye. Over the years, as a representative of Kunpeng Academy, Lan Haitian watched the entrance exams 3 times and also watched some excellent combat videos filmed by others online, but everyone seemed very immature to him. Not as good as Chen Mobai. With the salary and benefits, the promise of a future successor position, and the golden elixir jade rejuvenation pill, a sacred medicine for forming a golden core, Chen Mobai almost agreed on the spot. Fortunately, he asked 2 questions at the end. What does the Sky Mending Group do? It's nothing. You've probably seen the embroidered uniform guard, the 6 doors, and the Eastern Depot on TV, right? That's pretty much what their functions are. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai instantly sobered up. Want to fight? Occasionally, the security of the immortal sects has been very good in the last 20 years. The last time I made a move was 2 years ago in Huyang Cave Heaven. Then forget it. I'm not good at fighting, let alone dealing with cultists. Suppressing cults is our duty, even if it means sacrificing our own lives to protect all living beings in the immortal sect. Anyway, as soon as Chen Mobai heard about fighting, he immediately shook his head and refused. He already possesses the heavenly river realm, and now he has added the divine tree realm. He has no shortage of resources, so there is no need for him to risk fighting against the cultists. Although he coveted the golden elixir jade rejuvenation pill, Chen Mobai had only just established his foundation and would need at least several decades to reach the core formation stage. He would deal with it then. What if he makes a big splash in the Tian realm? Perhaps we can collect enough spiritual herbs to make a batch of golden elixir jade rejuvenation pill. Qing Nu, you must study alchemy diligently. If we manage to collect them all, then only Qing Nu can refine them. Watching her graceful figure bustling around the medicine pool, I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Why are you looking at me? You haven't answered my question yet. Which group in the Patching Sky group invited you? Group 6. Ah, it's Hell 6, the ruthless killers who are always fighting in the most dangerous places. Seeing Qing Nu cover her mouth in surprise, Chen Mobai felt that Lan Haitian was a real scoundrel. This guy had never said that Group 6 had such a bad reputation. As expected, I was right not to join, staying away from danger and developing my strength in secret. As Chen Mobai was thinking this, Qing Nu had already completed the extraction of the first bottle of King Mu Bamboo Spirit Dew. The plastic bottle, about the size of 2 fingers, is filled with clear spiritual water. The bottle opening is shaped like a pen tube with a round opening. Simply unscrew the cap and aim it at your eyes to drip clear eye bamboo dew. I tried it out on the spot. Chen Mobai felt the cool liquid drip into his eyes. His eyes, which had been sore from staring at the flames for a long time, suddenly felt like parched land receiving rain after a long drought, giving off a refreshing and cool sensation. Then he even felt a rain cloud appear out of thin air in his purple mansion sea of consciousness, turning into drizzling raindrops that fell on the green Paulonia seedling that his divine consciousness had materialized. The small Chinese parasol tree seedling sprouted another green bud in an instant, while the larger plant, whose top flower and fruit had been removed, showed signs of growing back. As expected of second-tier spiritual water, its effects are truly exceptional. Chen Mobai once again activated the penetrating void spirit eye, which he had long ago exchanged from the immortal sect's spell repositories. The remaining effects of the clear eye's bamboo spirit dew were completely absorbed by the eyes, which even emitted a signal of thirst. After dripping 6 drops, he felt his eyes become saturated and stopped. How are you feeling? When Qing Nu asked, Chen Mobai lowered his head, looked at her, and then turned his head away in embarrassment. Huh? At first, Qing Nu didn't quite understand, but when she saw the extra layer of spiritual light in his eyes and remembered Chen Mobai saying that he wanted to cultivate a kind of spiritual eye, she couldn't help but think of something. She spat and immediately cast a concealment spell. Well, I just started practicing, and I haven't controlled my strength well yet. I won't do it next time. Chen Mobai swore that he turned around immediately when he realized something was wrong, and he really didn't see anything. He is a virtuous man. There should be about 20 more bottles that can be extracted from the medicine pool. If you don't use them to enhance your divine sense and just use them to cultivate your spiritual eyes, it should be enough for you for a year. King Nu blushed slightly, but took the initiative to change the subject. Chen Mobai secretly glanced at her shoulder, making sure he couldn't see through her concealment technique without exerting force, before turning his head away with peace of mind. I can't send or receive messages freely yet, but it will be fine in a couple of days. Pointing to his eyes, which still shone with spiritual light, Chen Mobai nodded in gratitude. Beep, beep, beep. At that moment, Kong Feikin sent a message. He and Yang Jing have prepared the meal. You can come and eat now. Let's go eat. Today, to reward Chen Mobai for his hard work in sealing the seal, they said they would cook a meal themselves, which Chen Mobai was really looking forward to. Go buy a pair of glasses and then come back. King Nu pointed to Chen Mobai's eyes, which were still radiating spiritual light, and said something. I remember there was an eyeglasses store here. Chen Mobai followed behind Qing Nu without looking to the side. Because he could see a lot more now, he didn't dare to look directly at others. Found it. When Qing Nu's words came over, Chen Mobai breathed a sigh of relief. Just as he was about to follow her in, a bald boy with a bag on his back stepped between the two of them. The bald boy didn't care, after all. Chen Mobai and Qing Nu were 3 or 4 body lengths apart. He was in a hurry to cross the road, so he simply walked between the two people. However, it was because of this that Chen Mobai saw that the bag he was carrying contained firearms and magical artifacts that were forbidden by the immortal sects. Without changing his expression, Chen Mobai followed Qing Nu into the glasses shop. While the girl was enthusiastically helping him choose glasses, Chen Mobai picked up his phone and sent a message to Lan Haitian. It's best to leave such dangerous matters to the professionals. End of this chapter. Chapter 246, Indestructible Concrete. Chapter 246, Indestructible Concrete. Receive. Chen Mobai felt slightly relieved when he saw the two words Lan Haitian replied. This guy is known as the Foundation Establishment Cultivator closest to core formation in the Immortal sect, a top disciple of the Kunpeng Dao Academy, and the leader of the 6th group of the Heaven Mending Hell. Dealing with a small terrorist shouldn't be a problem for him, right? Why are you spacing out? Why don't you try on these glasses? Qingnu's voice came over, and Chen Mobai saw a pair of thin-framed glasses with gold rims in her hand, which looked like something a successful person would wear. You have excellent taste, sir. These glasses are the latest design developed by the Heavenly Eye Academy. The frames are made of spirit titanium alloy, and the lenses are made of the latest synthetic spirit detecting glass. When you wear them, you can see the flow of spiritual energy and directly measure the spiritual energy value. In the immortal sects, if you want to make the best business, everything has to be linked to cultivating spiritual energy, and even ordinary items like glasses are no exception. Ordinary glasses can only be used as glasses, but glasses that become magical artifacts have all sorts of gimmicks. But not many people will actually buy it. As expected, when Qingnu heard that it was so fancy, she thought it must be very expensive, so she immediately gave up on it and exchanged it for a similar style that had no function and was only used to block out spiritual light. Chen Mobai's heart stirred. Since all the spiritual energy in the immortal sect was centrally managed, no one paid much attention to the glasses that could observe traces of spiritual energy. But things are different in the heavenly river realm. You can buy a pair. The insightful eyes can only see through a small area. If he had to use them to see through 60 acres of spiritual fields, it would probably exhaust him. However, this one for Qingnu is definitely not suitable. The style is too flashy. Qingnu pouted and chose another pair with a silver-rimmed semicircular frame, but Chen Mobai still shook his head. In the end, he chose a pair of black-rimmed glasses that Qingnu found extremely displeasing. It's so ugly. Seeing that Qingnu seemed a little down, Chen Mobai couldn't help but buy the 2 pairs of glasses she had her eye on. That's too wasteful, one set is enough. However, when he bought 3 pairs of glasses at once, Qingnu reminded him to save his money. Next year, I want to study the cultivation of second-tier spirit rice in agronomy. I need to see the distribution of spiritual energy in the spirit fields. These glasses will come in handy. This is the truth. The 60 acres of spiritual fields below Zionan Mountain, thanks to the hard work of Zhu Ming and a group of helpers, have completed the process of cultivating soil fertility for next year, as he planned. However, due to the long period of neglect, the spirit field has only recovered to the level of second-tier low-grade. It will require several rounds of cultivation, fertilization, and maintenance before it can be restored to the level of third-tier. Okay then, will everything be fine after you put it on? Qingnu was too embarrassed to ask directly, but Chen Mobai nodded, indicating that the specially made black-rimmed glasses that blocked the spiritual light had already blocked the uncontrollable void spirit eye. After donating 50,000 in good deeds, the two left the glasses shop. The main reason is that the gold-rimmed glasses that can see the spiritual energy value are expensive. They're equivalent to a mid-grade first-tier magic weapon. Rumble. Just as the two were about to board the bus, they suddenly heard a sound like muffled thunder. Is it going to rain? Qingnu looked up at the sky, which was clear and cloudless. She couldn't help but pout and say that the weather was really changeable. It might just be thunder, but it won't rain. Chen Mobai suddenly took off his black-rimmed glasses and put on a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, looking in the direction from which the rumbling thunder came. He saw the spiritual energy in the air, which was frantically gathering towards him. Let's go, the car is here. Qingnu turned and called out to Chen Mobai. Seeing that he had put on the glasses she had chosen, she couldn't help but smile sweetly. Chen Mobai had no intention of joining in the fun. He simply followed Qingnu onto the bus and left the area. Bang! Lan Haitian clenched his right fist and slammed the bald boy who was trying to break through the barrier heavily into the ground. However, he immediately withdrew his fist, frowned as he looked at the red mark on it, and slowly shook it to relieve the soreness. The indestructible concrete of Jinchi Temple, are you still or restless? No sooner had Lan Haitian finished asking the question than the bald boy he had slammed into the ground suddenly sprang up, the countless stones coalescing into a 2-meter-tall concrete fist in his palm, which he then swung up heavily. Don't you know who I am? Lan Haitian frowned as he looked at the bald boy who dared to attack him. He opened his right hand, and his fair and slender fingers gently pressed down, unleashing a vast and powerful magnetic force. With a loud bang, the massive stone fist that the bald boy swung with his right hand shattered the moment it touched Lan Haitian's 5 fingers. Then Lan Haitian's fair 5 fingers transformed from claws into palms, and he casually pushed them onto the bald boy's chest. Strands of black steel emerged, bursting forth like tattoos all over Budong's body, blocking Lan Haitian's advancing palm. You've mastered the indestructible concrete body technique quite well, but unfortunately your level of mastery is a bit lacking. Lan Haitian watched as the veins on his forehead bulged, his skin turned crimson, and the veins on his body resembled thick, black earthworms. Suddenly, he transformed into a 2-meter-tall giant, and his 5 fingers retracted into a fist. The sound was like the ringing of a bronze bell. The giant's immovable golden body was shattered, like a cannonball bouncing back from in front of Lan Haitian. After leaving a red-stained, broken mark on the ground, he coughed up blood. You butcher, how did you end up here? He struggled to stand up, but felt his strength drain away with the blood, and his once expanded body slowly shrank, becoming extremely hunched and emaciated. How should I explain this to you? Is it just a coincidence? Lan Haitian stroked his chin and walked step by step toward the stationary one. At the same time, the originally hazy sky began to shrink with his steps, gradually enveloping the two of them. As expected, there is a traitor within the sect. Seeing the magnetic field begin to shrink, Budong knew that he was definitely not going to escape today. He tried to activate his indestructible concrete body, but found that in just 3 moves, Lan Haitian had broken all the bones and meridians in his body. Such injuries are basically enough to cripple him. Dongbu felt that his luck was terrible. He had already reached the 6th level of foundation establishment and had also cultivated an indestructible concrete body. In the vast immortal sect, only a handful of foundation establishment cultivators could make him powerless against them. But the guy in front of me is one of those rare exceptions. Tell me your reason for coming here, and I promise to spare your life. Lan Haitian approached the immovable one, lowered his head, and looked directly into the latter's eyes, which were bleeding from the broken, indestructible concrete. Cough, 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 I won't be a traitor. He remained still, yet he was a tough guy. He simply closed his eyes. Tusk, what a pity they had to suffer. Lan Haitian sighed and stretched out his finger, touching the unmoving Danchin, instantly destroying his cultivation. Beep, beep, beep. After finishing his work, Lan Haitian called the leader of the 3rd group of the Patching Heaven group, who was specifically responsible for extracting memories from the Purple Mansion Sea of Consciousness. I understand. I'll send someone over to take it over immediately. After Lan Haitian finished making the call, he looked down at the unconscious man again and suddenly became curious. Could it be that behind Gu Chengfeng's trail lies a big fish? Thinking this, he was about to search himself to see if he could find anything useful when his divine sense suddenly issued a frantic warning. The power of the elemental magnetism erupted, lifting Budong's entire body up, and 6 pitch-black, dark gold grenades came into view. This guy, Lan Haitian cursed angrily, and unleashed the full power of the 6 imperial scriptures. Rumble! Chen Mobai, who was having dinner with King Nu and the other 2, felt a sudden, slight tremor. He put down his chopsticks and looked in the direction where spiritual energy was constantly gathering. Is that guy even capable? Just as he was wondering whether he should call and ask, a text message came in. Nailed it. It was sent by Lan Haitian, and it was concise and to the point. They're quite capable, aren't they? Chen Mobai breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing the reply. It must be said that Yang Jing and Kong Feiken's cooking skills were quite good. He ate his fill. According to Kingnu, the three of them secretly cooked for each other while they were in the orphanage, which is how they developed their excellent cooking skills. By the way, I saw 2 pill formulas in an ancient book in the library of the Dance Weapon Academy. I wonder if they can be improved. Could you take a look? After finishing their meal, Chen Mobai and Kingnu sat on the sofa, while Kong Feiken and Yang Jing cleared away the dishes. The 100 herbs elixir, the nourishing spirit soup. Qingnu looked at the 2 pill formulas that Chen Mobai had sent her very carefully. The formula itself is fine, but the ingredients are a bit wasteful. These 7 herbs can be replaced with. Chen Mobai intended to prepare these 2 elixir formula from the 100 herbs classic for his apprentice. With his family as a backer, Liu Wenbai is basically guaranteed to become a true disciple when the next batch of jade marrow golden fungus matures. But it's a bit more difficult for Zhu Ming, as she has already set her sights on the batch after that. However, Chen Mobai felt that since he had taken her as his disciple and had her switch to cultivating new techniques, she would probably be in charge of the 60 acres of spiritual fields on Zionan Mountain in the future, which might delay her cultivation progress. Therefore, he felt it was necessary to compensate her. He didn't want to take the pills from the immortal sect to the heavenly river realm. Besides, people there only dared to take pills from reputable brands. If he suddenly offered a new pill or spirit water, no matter how eloquently it was described, no one would dare to take it. Because every alchemist would claim that the pills they concocted were unique. Chen Mobai was thinking of using the technology from the immortal sect to modify the 100 herbs pill and the nourishing spirit soup, and then perhaps cultivating a talent for alchemy in the heavenly river realm. This foreshadows his future collection of medicinal herbs and elixirs for the golden elixir and jade rejuvenation pill. After all, if he doesn't refine pills himself but frequently buys spiritual herbs, it's easy for people to become suspicious over time. However, Zhu Ming has already taken on the heavy responsibility of farming, so is it too much to ask her to also be assigned the task of alchemy? Just as Chen Mobai was thinking about these things, Zhu Ming, who was selecting rice seeds in the heavenly river realm, suddenly couldn't help but sneeze. She casually wiped her nose, continued to select the good rice seeds, plant them, and began watering and cultivating the seedlings. He died from not moving. In a closed stairwell of a shopping mall, the woman in sunglasses met Chuoba Wani, both with solemn expressions. Didn't they say that the crimson-robed immortal and the pure-revered immortal wouldn't make a move? Chuoba Wani frowned. He knew Dongbu's strength well. Apart from the 2 golden core cultivators in Dangxia City, no one could kill this disciple of Jinshi Temple. It wasn't them. Who is that? The Sky-Mending Group. Our informants haven't received any intelligence yet, but since he's not moving and has died, our mission has very likely been exposed. After saying this, the woman in sunglasses took out a talisman and lit it. This was the only talisman she had to contact the Lord of Shenyu Pavilion. Although she felt it was a bit of a waste, she decided to use it as a precaution. What is it? A silver flame rose after the talisman burned out, transforming into a 2-meter-sized silver fire ring, resembling a round mirror, revealing a blurry figure holding a 7-colored treasure tree. Greetings, Lord Shenyuxuan. After the woman in sunglasses finished explaining the situation, Master Shenyuxuan simply said, "Oh. Please instruct us on what to do next, Master Shenyu." Chuoba Wani secretly glanced up at the renowned vice leader of the Ascension sect, known as the Divine Imperial Pavilion Master who had devoured a god. I have a hidden card that I didn't originally intend to use. As Shen Yuxuan was speaking, he suddenly turned around, extended a finger, passed through the silver ring of fire and placed it on the woman in sunglasses' brow, gently touching it. Go. After leaving behind his last words, a gentle breeze blew by and the silver sparks vanished in an instant, as beautiful and dazzling as fireworks. "Thank you, Master Shenyukshuan." The woman in sunglasses looked up, and a silver flame mark appeared between her snow-white eyebrows. Chuoba Wani sensed that she, who was already powerful, seemed to have surpassed her limits and reached a terrifying realm that she could not fathom. "What did you get?" He couldn't help but ask. "With this powerful mark, I can gain invincible strength below the golden core stage. As long as I don't encounter someone like Lan Haitian, the strongest foundation establishment fighter in the immortal sect, I am confident that I can win." The woman in sunglasses radiated an unprecedented confidence from her beautiful face. Chuoba Wani looked on with envy, but he comforted himself that such power was like a castle in the air, with an unstable foundation. "The person has been found, let's finish this quickly." After saying this, the two disappeared from the spot. Evening, Changqing Pharmacy. As soon as Chen Mobai flew in, he saw that Lan Haitian was already waiting. "What is the background of that terrorist?" "A follower of the Ascension sect, a descendant of the ancient Taoist lineage of Jinchi Temple, whose Buddhist name is Immovable." "Is it impressive?" Having reached the 6th level of foundation building and cultivated an indestructible concrete body, he once fought 300 moves with the deputy leader of the 7th group, remaining evenly matched. Why would such a terrifying guy come to Danxia City? When Lan Haitian heard Chen Mobai's words, he couldn't help but frown slightly. He had spent so much time building up his strength by emphasizing the immovable power, just to highlight how he defeated his opponent in 3 moves and show off. But Chen Mobai stopped asking halfway through, leaving him feeling frustrated and uncomfortable. We originally wanted to extract information from his Purple Mansion Sea of Consciousness, but he used 6 Jengjin hand grenades to destroy himself. But when I checked his itinerary, it showed that 3 people exited the train station together. I've also located the other 2. I'll take care of them tonight. When Lan Haitian said these words, his tone was relaxed, as if it were as simple as going out for a meal. "Then you've had a hard time." Chen Mobai wasn't fooled at all. He simply left those words behind and flew away. "Wait a minute, don't you want to go and see the hidden, dark world of immortals? With me in charge, your safety is absolutely guaranteed. Not everyone has this kind of opportunity." Lan Haitian had barely finished speaking when Chen Mobai had already vanished. After returning home, he first chatted with Yan Bingxuan for a while, then used one hand to hold a mid-grade spirit stone and began cultivating the 4 Yang body, while using the other hand to release the Azure Yang fire seed and use the pure Azure technique to enhance the power of the fire seed. The ability to multitask was taught to him by Yang Jing. It just so happened that his divine control technique had reached the level of divine mind transformation, so he learned it in no time. With unwavering resolve, Chen Mobai remained completely unmoved by any words, maintaining his true self and improving his strength through his own methods. End of this chapter. Chapter 247 One Sword. Chapter 247 One Sword. Lan Haitian stood on the rooftop of a tall building, watching the woman in sunglasses and Chuoba Wani walking down the street below, and couldn't help but reveal a strange smile. "Is it just the 2 of them?" He turned to ask a middle-aged man beside him, who was bound by the power of the magnetic field and slumped on the cement. Yes, she's the one who contacted me." The middle-aged man was the person in charge of the Ascension sect in Danxia City. Following the instructions of the woman in sunglasses, he found the location of the target. But little did he know that he would be kidnapped by Lan Haitian that very night. He was in charge of intelligence, not practical combat. As soon as he saw Lan Haitian and remembered the latter's fearsome reputation, he was so frightened that he confessed everything. It was her. Lan Haitian glanced at the woman in sunglasses slowly walking towards the apartment building on the street in the early morning, and couldn't help but marvel. "Team Leader Lan, is it too late for me to abandon the darkness and embrace the light?" The middle-aged man, who was pressed to the ground by the magnetic force on the rooftop, secretly asked a question. "Don't worry, I'm very merciful. I'll basically spare my opponent's life as long as they don't resist. Lan Haitian smiled and spoke, but the middle-aged man was so frightened that he trembled all over, cold sweat pouring out and soaking his clothes. Team leader Lan, spare me. With a loud bang, Lan Haitian found him too noisy and knocked him unconscious. Him. Downstairs at the apartment building, the woman in sunglasses seemed to hear something and looked up at the sky. What's wrong? It's nothing, I just suddenly feel a little depressed. The woman in sunglasses clutched her chest and followed Chuoba Wani into the elevator. A moment later, Qing Nu's scream and Kong Fei Chen's angry shout rang out. However, under the suppression of the two Foundation establishment cultivators, no matter how talented they were, they had no way to break free. Yes, it's confirmed to be a dark spiritual root. The woman in sunglasses held Yang Jing down, took a drop of blood from her fingertip for a test, and then nodded in satisfaction. What should we do with those two? Kill them. Chuoba Wani shot out snow-white spider silk from his 5 fingers, binding Qing Nu and Kong Feiken into 2 white cocoons, which hung upside down on the roof. We're not those crazy people from the demonic sect. We don't need to sever newcomers' worldly ties. The woman in sunglasses shook her head, got up, and walked towards the door. Yang Jing struggled incessantly, but it was as if she was being carried by an invisible, transparent person. The woman in sunglasses stretched out a finger and gently stroked her snow-white, slender neck. Yang Jing immediately lost her focus and fainted. Let's go, set up your spider silk and bind them for 3 days. 3 days is enough time for them to take Yang Jing away from the immortal sect's territory. Troublesome work. Chuoba Wani clicked his tongue. But with a flick of his hand, 2 more clumps of spider silk shot out, enveloping Qing Nu and Kong Feiken, whose heads were still showing into white cocoons. Aren't you going to make a move? A slightly magnetic female voice echoed in the void beside Lan Haitian, as if an invisible person was standing there. I was originally planning to make a move, but my Tao heart was warning me. Oh, are there cultists at the core formation stage hiding in the shadows? Whether it's true or not, we'll find out by testing the waters. Lan Haitian saw the woman in sunglasses and Chuoba Wani leading Yang Jing out of the lobby on the 1st floor, and a mysterious smile appeared on his lips. Same as always, I'll deal with the weak one, and you take care of the strong one. No, you mustn't make a move this time. Lan Haitian said something to her companion, hidden in the shadows, that left her completely bewildered. What's the meaning? I just think that the 2 people from the Ascension cult chose really good targets. Lan Haitian smiled and took off a button from his sleeve, then jumped off the rooftop. After dropping more than 30 meters in an instant, he stopped in midair outside King Nu's apartment window and gently flicked the button in his hand. The spider silk, which was originally enough to seal Qing Nu and Kong Feiken for 3 days, dimmed its spiritual light in an instant. What is the point of doing this? A slightly magnetic female voice rang out again. Lan Haitian smiled and said something that made her even more confused. It allows someone who doesn't want to take action to do it. Beep, beep, beep. Late at night, Chen Mobai was cultivating the pure Yang Dharma body and the Azure Yang Fire Seed, wondering if he could use the pure Yang Scroll spells to control the Azure Yang Fire, when he suddenly heard his cell phone ring. So late, is this a spam call? Just as he was about to hang up, he saw the caller's name. King Nu. What's wrong? He answered immediately. What? Yang Jing has been captured by 2 Foundation establishment cultivators. After listening, Chen Mobai hesitated for a moment, but hearing Qing Nu's crying voice, he still couldn't stay out of it. Wait for me at home, I'll be right there. After saying that, he picked up his storage bag and jumped out of his room window. The immortal sect has a rule that cultivators are prohibited from flying over the 36 grotto heaven and 72 blessed lands. However, moving around high up on the rooftop is no problem. As Chen Mobai sped toward Qing Nu's apartment, he also called Lan Haitian. Hello. 2 Foundation establishment cultivators abducted one of my friends. I suspect it was the Ascension cult that did it. Oh, this is a big deal, but I'm currently chasing down the two companions of that Jinshi temple successor from earlier today, and I can't leave them behind. Aren't you supposed to be very strong? How come these two have been fighting for so long? Chen Mobai's tone was tinged with suspicion. Recalling Qing Nu's words that the two had abducted Yang Jing, a sudden thought flashed through his mind. You bastard, you weren't just standing there watching this happen, were you? Don't talk nonsense. I've been working very hard to hunt down cultists, but no matter how good I am, I'm only one person. I killed one, but the other got away. I'm not good at tracking, so it's been delayed until now. Lan Haitian denied it outright, and Chen Mobai, having no evidence, couldn't accuse him further, especially since he needed this guy's help. How about you help me out first? This won't do. The Ascension cult members are all fanatics. I'm afraid the other person who escaped might harm the masses. Let's keep looking and eliminate evil completely. It's also possible that cultists were behind it. We've got some connections. Aren't you going to help me out? Chen Mobai could only play the emotional card. Although he had already reached the realm of sword rainbow-splitting light and had the azure yang fire seed in hand, Meng Hong said that he could fight against anyone who was not in the late Foundation establishment stage. However, the two Foundation establishment cultivators who abducted Yang Jing were actually two true Foundation establishment cultivators. What if they are two cult members, at or above the 7th level of Foundation establishment? To ensure safety, it's best to bring along this well-known company, Blue Ocean Sky. Then, about joining the Sky Mending group. On the other end of the phone, Lan Haitian's tactful terms for the exchange came through. Chen Mobai's eyebrows twitched, and his words were once again strained. There's always an interview process for joining a company. I haven't even seen how powerful the Sky Mending team is yet. You have to give me a chance to broaden my horizons. Lan Haitian hung up the phone, speechless. Is this kid worth all this trouble? A magnetic female voice rang out again, her words revealing her bewilderment. After I retire, the higher-ups will probably let you take over as the head of Group 6. He is the deputy head I found for you. Oh, is he as good as me? In terms of killing, he is probably not as good as you, but in terms of talent in combat, he is almost catching up with me. Lan Haitian's words silenced the unseen women. I don't believe it. After a long while, these words echoed from the void. He's here. Lan Haitian watched as Chen Mobai leaped down from the rooftops of several tall buildings. A dark shadow covered his entire body, erasing all traces of his existence from the rooftop. Chen Mobai rushed into King Nu's room and saw the two of them still wrapped in the white cocoon of spider silk, except that King Nu had broken free of half of her head. Amidst the cries of swords, two crimson sword energies slashed into the cocoon. Then King Nu and Kong Feiken used all their spiritual power, but could not break a single strand of the snow-white spider silk. It was as if it had been dyed, tinged with a reddish glow. In an instant, it shattered into pieces. Chen Mobai caught King Nu as she fell out of the cracked cocoon, while Kong Feiken crashed heavily onto the floor. Do you have a way to track down Yang Jing? Her phone must have location services enabled. I'll try it. King Nu turned pale and took out her phone, only to find that Yang Jing's phone was left at the door. What about the aura chain technique and the bloodline curse? Chen Mobai then thought of the spells used by the immortal sects to find people, the blood of relatives, and the objects used by the missing person, all of which could be used for tracking. The bloodline curse cannot be used. We are not related by blood. Kong Feiken spoke up, taking out a plush doll from the sofa. This is her favorite. You can try breath chain technique. Chen Mobai nodded, then opened the immortal sex spell library and downloaded the tracking technique on the spot. At this rate, by the time you master the spell, the enemy will probably be long gone. Lan Haitian's voice rang out from outside the window, startling Kong Feiken and Qing Nu. The former even couldn't help but unleash a wind blade technique, but it was easily crushed by Chen Mobai. It was a friend I asked to help. I had the Sky repair team check the Sky eyes in this area and found footage of them leaving. Take me. Kong Feiken immediately rushed to the window in front of Lan Haitian, his eyes wide as he pleaded. "You two are too weak." Lan Haitian shook his head, then pointed at Chen Mobai. "There are two enemies, and we also have two, that's enough." At this point, Chen Mobai was already in a difficult situation. "Let's go." He went to the window, ready to leave with Lan Haitian. "Please, you must bring her back." Kong Fiken solemnly prayed to the two of them. Chen Mobai looked at Kingnu, whose eyes were filled with hope and worry. She wanted her sister to return safely, but she was also afraid that Chen Mobai would be in danger. In the end, she expressed it in a single sentence. "You must all come back safely. Take good care of her, we'll be right back." After giving instructions to Kong Fiken, Chen Mobai and Lan Haitian disappeared through the window. "Isn't it that it can't fly?" Carried by Lan Haitian's magnetic energy, the two flew through the air, speeding towards a certain place in the suburbs. "We are the Heaven Mending Group. In special circumstances, we can disregard some of the rules of the immortal sects and just submit a report afterwards," Lan Haitian said indifferently. "Tell me the truth. The opponents should be those two Ascension cultists who came to Danxia City with the bald guy." Chen Mobai asked. "I don't know about that, but I can assure you that I really caught a member of the Ascension cult today. That intelligence agent, though a bit weak, was still a genuine cult member." Lan Haitian's words were impeccable. "Thank you for helping me." Seeing that he couldn't get any information out of Chen Mobai, he could only express his gratitude. "Then about joining the Sky Mending group. Let's talk about it after we bring Yanjing back. I'll consider it." Chen Mobai continued to pull, and Lan Haitian didn't push too hard. In any case, as long as they started to consider it, there was a possibility of success. "I need to speed up." Determined to demonstrate his strength, he unleashed his full power of magnetic energy. Chen Mobai felt as if the tall buildings and streets below were fleeting shadows, turning into afterimages. In just 3 minutes, Lan Haitian and two others had already left Danxia City. Then came the lightning speed, as if the earth was propelling them forward, and just half an hour later, two figures could be seen flying in the sky. "I will rescue the hostages first. You will be responsible for providing backup and protection. They will definitely scatter and run away when they see me. You don't need to chase them. Just protect yourself and the hostages." Lan Haitian briefly explained the tactics, and then Chen Mobai felt the vast earth awaken, as if the entire earth was trembling along with the breathing of the leader of the sixth group of the Sky Mending team beside him. "Who goes there?" The two people in midair looked back, and then the woman in sunglasses felt that part of her divine sense had been severed. Then, Yang Jing, who was originally under her control, suddenly lost control. As if teleported, Chen Mobai saw Yang Jing, who had suddenly disappeared from the woman in sunglasses opposite him, suddenly fall from midair in front of him and quickly stretched out his arms to catch her. What kind of magic is this? Is it the helpless hand technique? Lan Haitian, who was about to demonstrate his strength as the #1 Foundation establishment cultivator, almost lost his breath upon hearing Chen Mobai's words. He sensed the anger of his deputy team leader. They actually used the term thief to describe her signature skill. "Oh no, it's Lan Haitian. What's he doing here?" Across from her, the woman in sunglasses, who had been furious, turned around and saw the only person she wasn't confident she could defeat, the #1 Foundation establishment cultivator from the immortal sect. Her face paled instantly. "You have the mark of the divine imperial pavilion master. How far can you fight against Lan Haitian?" Suddenly, Chuoba Wani, who was standing next to him, asked a question. "Although I'm not confident I can defeat him, I'm more than capable of escaping." The woman in sunglasses was originally a master at the 7th level of Foundation establishment. After receiving the power transmission from the master of Shenyu Pavilion, she was able to refine the secret techniques of her lineage to the level of core formation. She was confident she could defeat any other Foundation establishment opponent, even the fairy Qiangji from the Natural Academy. But it was only blue sea and sky. This is a fighting genius who has mastered one of the 6 imperial scriptures and condensed the golden core realm even before forming his own golden core. However, although she might still be unable to defeat them, she felt that she could hold them off. I'm going to kill that kid, snatch the target back, and escape. You have to do everything in your power to hold off Lan Haitian before I disappear. After saying this, Chuoba Wani waved his hands, which transformed into wings, and he became a streak of black light, rushing towards Chen Mobai, who was holding Yang Jing. Fine, even if it means my death, I will hold Lan Haitian back. After formulating the battle plan, the woman took off her sunglasses, revealing a pair of terrifying eyes with only the whites and no pupils. Heaven's will is on my side. She unleashed the supreme skill of her lineage, and in an instant, lightning flashed and thunder roared in the sky, accompanied by a violent storm. Centered on her, she seemed to be the master of all things, the embodiment of the will of heaven and earth. Oh, you think you can stop me? Lan Haitianren was originally 100 meters away, but in the blink of an eye, he found himself pulled into the myriad phenomena of the heavens. You have become a demon in the hearts of many in our Ascension sect. If I can drag you into the abyss with my life today, I will die a worthy death. After saying this, the silver fire mark between the brows of the woman, whose eyes were only white, began to burn fiercely, and her aura rose rapidly in an instant. Foundation Establishment Stage 7 completed. Foundation Establishment Stage 8. Foundation Establishment Stage 9. Foundation Establishment completed. Then, even a dazzling golden light shone through her dantian, and the already frenzied phenomena of heaven and earth exploded several times over in an instant, surging towards the blue sea of heaven like an apocalyptic catastrophe. This is a bit troublesome. We might not be able to take her down without going all out. Lan Haitian frowned slightly upon seeing his opponent's condition. Once I go all out, I can no longer delay the core formation stage. I might have to retire from the Heaven Mending group early. Does he need my help? As the deputy team leader's voice rang in his ears, Lan Haitian glanced at Chuoba Wani in the distance, whose hands had transformed into wings and whose feet into giant paws, and sighed slightly. You stay here and protect him. Only intervene when he can't hold on any longer. I might not be able to look after you too. Lan Haitian originally thought he came to Danxia City for a vacation, but he never expected that it would become the opportunity for him to form his core. If I take action, your previous lies will be exposed. There's nothing we can do about it. We can't just watch him get killed by cultists. Lan Haitian sighed, his mind no longer filled with confusion. He closed his eyes, then opened them. Amidst the thunderous roar, his gaze pierced and tore apart everything in the world. The Kunpeng Dao Academy's most powerful technique, the 6 imperial scriptures, which dominates the 36 grotto heavens and 72 blessed lands, is about to be unleashed. At that very moment, a dazzling, deep purple sword light shot into the sky not far away, like a divine sword reaching to the heavens, silently tearing open the firmament and the universe. The wind, rain, thunder, ice, frost, and cold currents were all dispelled and partially melted by this deep purple sword light. The 3 of them turned to look at the same time, and saw Chen Mobai holding the awakened Yang Jing in his left arm, and inserting a wooden hairpin back into the top of his head with his right hand. Before him, a purple flame sword light was burning from Chuoba Wani's brow to his chest, burning him from the middle until he was split into 2 torches, which fell from the sky in disbelief. However, before it even landed, it was burned to ashes by the purple flames and scattered by the gale. Do you need my help? Chen Mobai hesitated for a moment, feeling that it wasn't a good idea to just coast along, and asked Lan Haitian, who seemed to be about to engage in an epic battle not far away. This chapter is a bit longer than usual, so it was written a little late. It's a new month. Please give me some monthly votes, please. End of this chapter. Chapter 248, The Ambition of a Flying Bird. Chapter 248, The Ambition of a Flying Bird. The crowd fell silent in an instant. Although Lan Haitian knew that Chen Mobai was a born battle immortal with amazing talent in combat, in his understanding, the latter had not yet experienced the battle at the Foundation establishment level. He would need to join the Heaven Mending group and be taken on several missions by Lan Haitian before he would be qualified to become a member of the sixth group. However, the current situation is far beyond his expectations. That guy that sword strike just now, that was sword light, wasn't it? Wasn't he just at the foundation establishment stage? How many years has it been since a foundation establishment level cultivator has comprehended such a level of sword cultivation? It must have been 1,000 years. Why don't you work for another 10 or 20 years, and after you retire, let him take over as team leader? I'll be the deputy team leader, that's fine too. Hearing his deputy team leader's slightly hesitant words, Lan Haitian couldn't help but chuckle. Suddenly, the Ascension sect woman, who had been eager to fight and challenge Lan Haitian, lost all hesitation after witnessing Chen Mobai kill Chuoba Wani with a single sword strike. Suddenly a sound. He transformed into a streak of silver electricity and shot off overseas at breakneck speed. She ran away. Should we chase after her? A magnetic female voice sounded in his ear. Lan Haitian nodded and glanced at Chen Mobai, indicating that she should stay and handle the matters below. After all, she is a cultist. Although I scared her to death, just in case, I still need to see her leave the territory of the immortal sect with my own eyes before I can feel at ease. After saying this, Lan Haitian harnessed his magnetic power and followed the silver current from a distance. Chen Mobai saw the two people, whose auras were originally magnificent and whose confrontation caused the heavens and earth to tremble, disappear one after the other before his eyes, and couldn't help but scratch his head. Perhaps they fear the aftermath of the battle might harm us, and instead want a decisive, bloody fight, so they've sought out a desolate place overseas. Just as he was thinking this, a pair of soft arms wrapped around his neck, and a warm breath rushed towards him. "Brother-in-law, you're amazing." Yang Jing's fair cheeks were slightly flushed, her eyes were wide open, and her delicate face showed the relief of surviving a disaster. She hugged Chen Mobai tightly with both hands and feet. When she woke up, she saw Chen Mobai pull out the hairpin from his head and casually slash through the air, cutting the half-beast monster who had easily subdued Qing Nu and Kong Feiken in two with a single sword stroke. Young girls always admire heroes. However, due to his childhood experiences, Yang Jing only dares to transform into a snake and hide in the shadows. Today, Chen Mobai's invincible sword strike caused Yang Jing, whose heart had been frozen, to feel the burning pulse of his heart once again. She felt a warm current flow through her entire body, and she trembled all over. The deep purple sword light, as it slashed out to kill the enemy, seemed to break free from the shell that had imprisoned her for over 20 years, allowing her to once again feel an emotion called excitement. This was the first time Chen Mobai had been so close to a girl. Although Yang Jing usually liked to wear a hat, long sleeves and pants, and cover herself up completely, she was actually a very pretty girl. Feeling the softness and fullness pressed against him, he realized that Yang Jing's figure was far more outstanding than Qing Nu's. "Don't talk nonsense. King Nu and I are just very good friends." As Chen Mobai spoke, he immediately released his left hand from Yang Jing's slender waist, indicating that the danger had passed and she could get down. "Brother-in-law, I can't fly." Yang Jing refused to let go, but ultimately she was still a little shy like a girl. She opened her legs, which were originally wrapped around Chen Mobai, and leaned against him, tightly hugging his neck. Chen Mobai also realized that, after all, she had not yet established her foundation, and his cultivation was also insufficient, so he could not use spiritual power to carry people flying like Lan Haitian. He could only let Yang Jing hang around his neck. "It's good that you're all right. King Nu was very worried about you. Call her first to let her know you're safe." Upon hearing this, Yang Jing finally came to her senses. She wrapped one arm around Chen Mobai's neck and took the phone with the other, dialing a number she knew by heart. The two sisters talked on the phone, and naturally, they sobbed again. King Nu kept thanking Chen Mobai on the other end of the line. "I only contributed a little bit. It's nothing to mention." Chen Mobai was sincere in his words. Putting aside the ordinary foundation establishment cultivator who was instantly killed by his sword, he was definitely no match for the woman with the whites of her eyes who could stand up to Lan Haitian and cause a celestial phenomenon. He felt that if he hadn't brought in Lan Haitian, a man with a notorious reputation, he would have been able to at most save his life if he had faced these two Ascension cult members alone. They definitely can't save Yanjing. My brother-in-law is so capable yet so humble. My sister is so lucky. When Yang Jing returned the phone to Chen Mobai, this was what he was thinking. Let's wait here for a while. After thinking it over, Chen Mobai felt it wouldn't be good to go back like this. After all, Lan Haitian had come to help, and the two of them should at least wait until dawn to do their part. Moreover, although it was in self-defense just now, but it was still murder after all. This is in the immortal sect. I don't know how to solve this. I want to ask Lan Haitian. The deputy leader of Group 6, who was hiding not far away, felt that there was no need to waste Chen Mobai's time like this. After all, the group leader had driven out the people of the Ascension sect and didn't know when they would return. Beep, beep, beep. Just then Chen Mobai's phone rang. He thought it was Kingnu calling again because she was worried, but he didn't expect it to be Lan Haitian. You guys go back first. I might not be able to come back for another 2 days. Is this guy really that strong? Can you still send text messages during a battle? Chen Mobai was shocked, realizing that he had underestimated a Foundation establishment perfection expert. Indeed, there was still much for him to improve. In order not to interfere with the ultimate showdown between Lan Haitian and the powerful figure, he did not reply to the message, intending to wait until the latter returned to discuss it in detail. However, Chen Mobai realized at this time that he had become somewhat lax since he established his foundation. It seems that my lifelong dream has come true, and I've lost some motivation. Let's set another small goal. Strive to reach the realm of blue ocean sky as soon as possible. Once you reach the peak of Foundation establishment, you can perfectly control and unleash the strongest power of the sword rainbow split light. At that time, if you encounter a powerful figure like the woman with the white eyes of the Ascension sect, you can fight alongside Lan Haitian. Thinking that he shouldn't become a burden, Chen Mobai secretly made up his mind. Hold on tight, I'm taking you home. Upon hearing this, Yang Jing immediately hugged himself tightly again, his straight and slender legs about to jump up, but after being stared at by Chen Mobai, he stopped and lowered his head in embarrassment. As the two disappeared, the head of a woman with short gray hair appeared in the void. She had snow-white skin and brown eyes, but the lower half of her face was covered by a black mask, making her features impossible to see. Behind the head, another right hand appeared, holding a mobile phone. She had just logged into Lan Haitian's account and sent a text message to Chen Mobai, telling them to go back first. It's a very strange scene, a head and an arm floating in midair. If someone saw it, they might mistakenly think someone was practicing the art of flying corpses. Where did the team leader find such a monster? As the deputy leader of the 6th group of the Skymending clan, Lin Yin was also a veteran of countless battles. The most dangerous battle was against an evil sword cultivator from the Ascension sect. When the latter was fighting against Lan Haitian, he used the sword rainbow splitting light realm to split off a sword light and slash at her. It was this sword light that almost turned her in two, just like Chuoba Wani had done earlier. A sword cultivator who has mastered the sword rainbow splitting light at the first level of Foundation establishment can no longer be called a genius. Instead, it should be described as a monster. But this is good. At least it ensures that the leader of Group 6 will always be a monster. Lin Yin had no idea that Chen Mobai had no intention of joining the Heaven Mending group. Without Lan Haitian's magnetic power to carry them, it was almost dawn when he and Yang Jing returned to Danxia City. Upon arriving at the apartment, the scene of Kingnu and Yanjing embracing was too beautiful, so Chen Mobai and Kong Feiken went to the balcony. Thank you, I owe you my life. On the balcony, Kong Feiken spoke solemnly to Chen Mobai. It was just a small favor. Chen Mobai waved his hand, indicating that he didn't need to be so serious. Do you want to know the story of the three of us? Just then, Kong Feiken suddenly said those words. Now that you mention it, I'm actually quite interested. Chen Mobai nodded. The two sat on the small sofa on the balcony. Kong Fiken opened a bottle of beer and started talking while drinking. The three of us grew up in a laboratory. There were hundreds of children like us there. From the time we became conscious, each of us was like an insect, locked in a small, square room. Every so often, people would be taken out to do all sorts of experiments, and some of the children never came back after they went out. I'm sure you've guessed it by now. The experiments there were about how to create top-grade spiritual roots. We were the most successful creations from that place. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai frowned. These stories, which he had only seen on television, actually existed in reality. Kong Fiken rolled up his sleeve, revealing a jet-black tattoo on his chest, B2. I am a second-level spiritual root user. It seems that the experiment was exposed, and a large group of people from the immortal sects came to clean up the mess. The three of us were sent to a welfare home in Danxia City. However, before leaving that laboratory, we were all placed under a spell that forbade us from saying anything about it. Chen Mobai felt very strange when he heard this. Then why are you able to tell me this? I didn't study at the Imperial Medical Academy for nothing these past few years. I specifically cracked the code when I was building my foundation, but that's why I failed to build my foundation. No wonder you haven't succeeded in establishing your foundation, even with your talent and all the spiritual items we've prepared for you. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai suddenly understood, finally resolving a question that had been troubling him. Actually, there's something else that even my sister and Yangjing don't know. At this moment, Kong Fiken suddenly put down his cup and said something that Chen Mobai took to heart. What? I have also cultivated some divine arts. Kong Fiken looked at Qingnu and Yangjing, who were sleeping in each other's arms after crying themselves to sleep on the sofa, and a hint of tenderness appeared in his eyes. When Yangjing was a child, he thought that if he could transform into a snake, he could crawl out of the cube-shaped room and see the green grass and flowers outside. What I wish I could become a bird, so that I could soar freely in the blue sky and white clouds. The sealing technique that Captain Gan gave us was correct, but I tampered with the sealing technique I gave you. Chen Mobai's expression changed drastically. He stood up and was about to make a move when he found his body sink and he was unable to move. Did you poison this beer? What did you do to Qingnu and Yangjing? It was only then that Chen Mobai realized something was wrong. With Qingnu and Yangjing's cultivation levels, no matter how tired they couldn't possibly fall into a deep sleep like this. Even as Kong Fiken recounted such an important past event, he did not appear. It's not poison, but a medicine that can enhance the quality of spiritual energy. For the past 4 years, I've been the top student in pharmacology at the Imperial Medical Academy, and my mentor has hailed me as a genius who will be able to change the landscape of immortal pharmacology in the future. Kong Fiken took out an empty glass bottle from his pocket and explained as he spoke. This spiritual herb is called Jai. You can think of it as an upgraded version of qi condensation liquid. It can solidify a cultivator's spiritual power. As we all know, the process of condensing liquid spiritual power into a solid state is called core formation. My medicine simulates this process, but it only has 1/10,000th of the efficacy of the golden elixir jade rejuvenation pill. However, it can allow you to experience a higher quality spiritual power a little earlier. However, since your physical body and consciousness are still only at the foundation establishment level, you cannot mobilize such high-quality spiritual power, and the effects of the medicine can only last for half a day. After Kong Fiken finished speaking, he placed the empty glass bottle on the table in front of the two of them, and then drank the rest of the beer in one gulp. By the way, this medicine only works on liquid spiritual energy. For a qi-refining cultivator like me, it's really just like beer. What are you going to do? While trying to come up with a solution, Chen Mobai also probed Kong Fiken's true intentions. It's nothing, I just can't let go of my past. Kong Fiken pointed to the tattoo on his chest, laughed self-deprecatingly, his face slightly distorted, and his eyes suddenly turned dark gold. I practice 2 parts of divine arts trying to bury and seal away my past hatred, pain, and despair, but I overestimated myself. I simply couldn't do it. Upon seeing this, Chen Mobai realized that Kong Feiken had been controlled by another personality within him. Or perhaps the two personalities reached a consensus through hatred. For the past few years, I have been searching for a solution to the divine split technique at the Imperial Medical Academy. The only way is to find the source of this forbidden technique, the devouring god technique. As he spoke, Kong Feiken walked into the living room. He picked up Yang Jing from Qing Nu's arms on the sofa, covered Qing Nu with a blanket, and then went back to the balcony to activate a talisman. A silver ring of fire opened a portal in the void before the balcony. "I'm leaving my sister in your care. I'll take her to get treatment." After saying this, Kong Feiken led Yang Jing into the silver fire ring. Just then, a head with short gray hair appeared in midair, and Lin Yin silently slashed at Kong Feiken's neck with a dagger. End of this chapter. Chapter 249, The Man Behind the Scenes. Chapter 249, The Man Behind the Scenes. Not good. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Mobai couldn't help but cry out in surprise. Although Kong Feiken had schemed against him, Chen Mobai could still understand him after that conversation, since it was all for the sake of curing Yang Jing's mental illness. So when he left with Yang Jing, Chen Mobai felt a sense of relief, thinking that this might be a good outcome for him and his sister. The moment Lin Yin suddenly appeared, Chen Mobai wanted to stop her, but Kong Feiken's knot was too powerful. Even with his strong divine sense, he could not mobilize a single bit of spiritual power in his Danshan. A strange sadness flashed in his eyes, and he couldn't help but close them, not wanting to see Kong Feiken being killed. At that moment, Chen Mobai sensed a grand aura that he had never felt before. A faint whooshing sound rang out, and a withered yellow leaf flew from the rooftop next door, gently landing on the dagger that Lin Yin had already used to cut blood on Kong Feiken's neck. Ding! A crisp shattering sound rang out as the falling leaf shattered the dagger, its remaining force grazing Lin Yin's outstretched right shoulder. Blood splattered everywhere. Lin Yin groaned, clutching his injured joint, and disappeared into the void once more. "Who is it?" Chen Mobai was startled and suspicious. A blood-stained, withered yellow leaf twirled and drifted down onto the table in front of him, next to an empty glass bottle. He looked up and saw that Kong Feiken also looked surprised and doubtful, as if he hadn't expected someone to be lying in ambush nearby, and he didn't know who had made the move, let alone who had saved him. "Run!" A synthesized electronic voice sounded, and Chen Mobai looked over and saw a person wearing a black hoodie with a hood. He couldn't see the person's shape or face, but his bright eyes proved that it was a person. "Thank you, Senior." Kong Feiken felt the wound on his neck and dared not delay any longer. After thanking the mysterious man, he carried Yang Jing and crashed into the silver fire ring. After Chen Mobai saw the two of them disappear, he looked at the roof of the building next door again, only to find that the person was no longer there. He took a deep breath, raised his hand with difficulty, and touched the withered yellow leaf on the table. This is a very ordinary leaf, easily picked from the cypress trees planted all over the streets. It was this very fallen leaf that defeated a Foundation establishment expert, whom even Chen Mobai couldn't detect. Who exactly is this person? It's definitely stronger than me. After all, Chen Mobai's strongest sword Rainbow Beam requires the use of second-tier magic artifacts like the Flying Sparrow Hairpin to unleash its full power. But this person used only a single, ordinary withered leaf. With a flick of the finger, the enemy is driven away by a plucked leaf or a flying blossom. Chen Mobai had a feeling that this person was even more powerful than Lan Haitian, who had just caused such a huge uproar, and the woman with white eyes from the Ascension sect. But Lan Haitian is already the strongest Foundation establishment fighter in the immortal sect. Even stronger than him. Could it be a golden core cultivator? Upon realizing this, Chen Mobai couldn't help but gasp. After a long while, once he felt that his hands could move freely again, he took out his phone and found his teacher Qi Yucheng's number in his contacts. Just as I was about to make the call, I heard a slight cough next to my ear. Are you still there? Although Chen Mobai did not know who Lin Yin was, he immediately realized it was her. Every golden core cultivator in the immortal sect needs to report to the Kaiyuan Hall in advance before taking any action. Lin Yin appeared in front of Chen Mobai, clutching her shoulder. She sat in the spot where Kong Feiken had been sitting, and as she spoke, she took out 2 pieces of white tape and applied them to the wound in a crisscross pattern. Soon, Chen Mobai saw her wound begin to stop bleeding, heal quickly, and scab over. What are you trying to say? No other golden core cultivators have come to Danxia City recently, only the 2 cultivators who are stationed here. Lin Yin raised his head, his brown eyes meeting Chen Mobai's, and said something that shocked Chen Mobai. You mean, if the matter involves a golden core cultivator, even the Zhengfa Hall may not be able to handle it. It needs to be reported to the Kaiyuan Hall. The Immortal sect has 3 main halls. The Immortal Affairs Hall is responsible for managing 300 million cultivators according to the law, including their birth, aging, sickness, and death. The Hall of Righteous Law is responsible for upholding the law and eliminating any heretics who undermine the law and the happiness of all beings. The final Kaiyuan Hall was responsible for formulating the laws and regulations of the Immortal sect. The requirements for joining Kaiyuan Hall are also very simple. A golden core true person is any cultivator who has not been stripped of their political rights by the immortal sects. This means that every golden core cultivator is a manager of the immortal sect. The 2 golden core cultivators from Danxia City are both listed in the Kaiyuan Hall. If it really involves them, the Zhengfa Hall has no right to interfere with them. They need to be removed from the list by the Kaiyuan Hall first, and then the laws of the immortal sect can be applied to them. I don't believe that either of you are that kind of person. Chen Mobai shook his head and said a few words, but he did not directly reveal the Taoist titles of the 2 true immortals of Danxia City. Based solely on my words, the Kaiyuan Palace will certainly not initiate an investigation. As Lin Yin spoke, his brown eyes met Chen Mobai's directly, and the latter shook his head. Whether the one who made the move was a golden core cultivator or not is just your guess. I cannot vouch for you. Whatever. Lin Yin didn't say anything more. She formed a hand seal with one hand, and her figure began to disappear again. I don't even know who you are. You'll find out later. Because the Patching Heaven 6th group is responsible for combat, they usually hide their identities. Although Lin Yin knew that Lan Haitian wanted to recruit Chen Mobai into the Patching Heaven group, he did not reveal his name since Chen Mobai was not yet his colleague. Although she didn't say it, Chen Mobai already had a guess in his mind based on just those few words. She must be from the Zhengfa Hall, and the only person he has had contact with recently is Lan Haitian. Therefore, she is very likely a member of the Skymending group. This makes the credibility of Lan Haitian's previous statements questionable. However, at this point, these are all minor matters. If the one who ultimately lets Kong Feiken go is truly a golden core cultivator. Thinking of this, a trace of worry flashed across Chen Mobai's brows. He thought about it, edited the matter, wrote it into a detailed document, and sent it to his teacher, Chi Yucheng, the head of instruction at the Dance Weapon Academy, who is also a golden core cultivator, had previously served as a standing committee member of the Kaiyuan Hall for a certain term. He certainly has more experience in this kind of matter than I do. However, he didn't seem to be near his phone and didn't reply immediately. It wasn't until dawn, almost noon, that Chen Mobai finally felt he could regain control of the spiritual energy in his danshan. He took a deep breath and felt the spiritual energy was more solid than before, which made him marvel. This medicine is quite effective. It seems that the poison accumulated from taking the Foundation Establishment pill has disappeared, saving him at least half a year of hard work refining the poison. Beep, beep, beep. Just then, Chi Yucheng finally replied with a message. Only one sentence. I understand. Return as soon as you've finished your business. Do not investigate the golden core cultivator rashly before the truth is revealed. Upon seeing these words, Chen Mobai immediately replied with 2 words, "Okay." Actually, when he first returned to Danxia City, he visited the Crimson Robe Master at the Crimson Cloud Academy, but the latter was in seclusion, and he was unable to meet him. Given the current situation, Chen Mobai may not return to Danxia City for the next few years. After confirming that his spiritual power was intact, Chen Mobai went to the living room. Seeing Qingnu fast asleep on the sofa, he sighed and reached out to touch her fair and smooth forehead. What's wrong with me? Where's Jinger?" After Qingnu woke up, she was still not clear about her condition. She rubbed her eyes and was still looking for her younger sister, who she thought had just been rescued. Kong Feikin took her to a very far place for treatment. Chen Mobai hesitated for a moment, but still told him everything. After listening, Qingnu's expression froze. After an unknown amount of time, tears welled up in her eyes, making Chen Mobai somewhat at a loss. In the end, he had no choice but to offer words of comfort. 2 days later, Chen Mobai received a call from Lan Haitian, and they met at the usual place. "Thank you for your help last time." After landing in the courtyard, Chen Mobai first greeted Lan Haitian, who was sitting on the medicine vat. After all, the latter had been invited by him to rescue Yang Jing, and although he was eventually taken away by Kong Feikin, he still wanted to remember this favor. "How's your decision about joining the Skymending group going?" Lan Haitian asked with a smile, seemingly in a very good mood. "I thought about it and realized that I'm not suited for fighting and killing. I'm really sorry." Originally, Chen Mobai felt that participating wouldn't be a big deal since he had instantly killed Chuoba Wani of the Ascension sect with a single sword strike. At least his strength seemed to be respectable among the immortal sects. But when Kong Feikin left, the mysterious master shattered his confidence after killing his enemy with a single withered leaf. He's still too weak. He needs to cultivate again to improve his level. Kong Feikin of the Imperial Medical Academy colluded with the Ascension sect, seriously violating the laws of the immortal sect. He has been listed as a level 2 wanted criminal by the immortal sect. Any cultivator who can provide clues will be rewarded with 100,000 merit points. Lan Haitian suddenly said this. Chen Mobai stood still, unmoved. What does Kong Feikin have to do with him? Since he has chosen this path, whether he lives or dies is entirely up to his own luck. A notice was also issued inside the Hall of Righteous Law, stating that killing Kong Feikin would be rewarded with 1 breakthrough pill and 600,000 merit points. Chen Mobai's eyes lit up when he heard this. Small breakthrough pill or large breakthrough pill? Breakthrough pill is one of the most popular second-tier pills in the immortal sect. As the name suggests, it can help cultivators break through bottlenecks. The minor barrier breaking pill is designed for minor bottlenecks, such as the transition from Foundation Establishment Level 1 to Level 2, or from Foundation Establishment Level 4 to Level 5. The Great Barrier Breaking Pill is specifically designed for major bottlenecks, such as the 3rd to 4th level of Foundation Establishment and the 6th to 7th level of Foundation Establishment. However, whether it is the Lesser Breakthrough Pill or the Greater Breakthrough Pill, they are the most precious pills for the Foundation Establishment cultivators of the Immortal Sect. Because the Immortal Sect has a complete and mature system of spiritual medicines and waters for cultivating and improving spiritual power, but the barriers between realms can only be overcome by a handful of pills. Even at the Dance Weapon Academy, whenever breakthrough pills appear during the end-of-term point redemption, they are always snapped up instantly. The big one. Lan Haitian smiled and gave Chen Mobai an answer that left him amazed. He's actually worth that price. What, you want to capture him and exchange him for the breakthrough pill? I have that idea, but I mainly find it hard to believe that he, a mere chi-refining cultivator, could receive a great barrier-breaking pill as a reward from the Righteous Law Hall. Lan Haitian initially shared the same idea, but the higher the reward, the stronger their motivation became. Moreover, after listening to Lin Yin's report, he realized that the person behind this matter was extremely dangerous. That makes it easy to understand. If you join the Heaven Mending group, You will be able to know immediately if Kong Fiken's whereabouts are discovered within the immortal sect. What do you mean by that? You and his sister are very close, right? You should be thinking about protecting his life and that girl who practiced forbidden techniques. If we're in the heaven mending group, I can turn a blind eye. Hearing Lan Haitian's words, Chen Mobai chuckled and shook his head. It seems you still don't understand me. After saying this, Chen Mobai raised his phone, turned around and said goodbye. If I reach the 9th level of Foundation establishment and have no other way to obtain the Golden Elixir Jade Rejuvenation Pill, I will consider joining the Heaven Mending Group. But for now, I at least want freedom. Freedom? Joining the Sky Patching Group is quite free. You just need to complete 5 missions every year. Lan Haitian offered one last piece of advice. But Chen Mobai wasn't interested at all. I owe you a favor. If you ever need my help near Mount Chicheng in the future, feel free to call me. After saying this, Chen Mobai jumped up and left Changqing Pharmacy. Team leader, I thought you had already recruited him to the team. Lin Yin's figure appeared above the medicine vat behind Lan Haitian. She wore a black mask, was tall with long legs, and had snow-white skin. The only flaw was that her chest was very flat without any curves. I am only human after all, and I cannot have everything go smoothly. After hearing this, Lan Haitian shrugged, shook his head, and sighed. No, the other person, just as you predicted, Captain, agreed to join the Sky Mending Group as soon as I explained my purpose. Upon hearing Lin Yin's words, Lan Haitian smiled. Although we didn't help increase the manpower of Group 6, we at least gave Group 4 one more person, so this trip can be considered somewhat fruitful. Team leader, but her only requirement for joining the Sky Mending team is that she come to our 6th team. What? Upon hearing this, Lan Haitian turned his head in surprise, but he quickly realized what was happening. Reject her, our Group 6 doesn't need her. Captain, that's a heavenly spiritual route. The heavenly spiritual route only means that the cultivation speed is fast and there is no bottleneck. Our Group 6 only needs ruthless people. I think she's very determined. With training, she might become a qualified member of Team 6. Lin Yin felt it was a great pity to let such a talented person go, and tried his best to persuade him, but Lan Haitian remained unmoved. Group 6 only needs naturally ruthless people, like Chen Mobai. End of this chapter. Chapter 250, Farewell. Chapter 250, Farewell. Thank you both for your hard work. In Wu Wan's studio in Dangxia City, Chen Mobai put down his second-tier talisman brush and thanked Luan Jingsheng and Wu Wan. Not at all, not at all. It would be a great pleasure for us to be able to help you. Wu Wan smiled and began to tidy up the scraps of paper in his studio. Luan Jingsheng, on the other hand, seemed to have grasped something and closed his eyes while sitting in his seat. This 5 transformations umbrella might become a second-tier magic weapon in the future. Chen Mobai picked up the wooden umbrella that the 3 of them had worked together to complete on the workbench, and couldn't help but feel a surge of emotions. He is a sentimental person. This 5 transformations umbrella accompanied him through many battles during the monster attack on Qingguang Island, and the umbrella surface and the talismans drawn on it are already quite damaged. If it were any other Foundation establishment cultivator in the Heavenly River realm, they would definitely give up in this situation and replace it with a better defensive magic weapon. But Chen Mobai was thinking about whether it could be repaired. Although he already possessed a second-tier Azure Scale arm guard, this first-tier mid-grade defensive talisman was no longer of much use to him, but giving it to his disciple was still a very good gift. Liu Wenbai has his family as a backer, and Chen Mobai knows that he has 2 first-tier magic weapons, one for offense and one for defense. However, Zhuo Ming is a rogue cultivator who couldn't afford a storage bag even after saving spirit stones all his life, let alone a magic weapon. He happened to have quite a few magical artifacts that were about to become unusable, so he could organize them and give them to his 2 disciples. He had already thought it through and would treat everyone equally. The needle case and the 5 transformations umbrella were given to Zhuo Ming, while the green handkerchief and the sword forging ring were given to Liu Wenbai. That's 2 items for each of them, one of first-grade mid-level and one of first-grade high-level. The 5 transformations umbrella was previously a damaged version, and only a mid-grade first-tier item, but that didn't stump Chen Mobai. He is now a Foundation Establishment cultivator and a first-tier talisman maker registered and certified by the Immortal sect, so redrawing the defensive talisman for the 5 transformations umbrella is more than enough for him. However, upgrading a talisman is not something that can be done by drawing it randomly. It requires meticulous design and calculation in the early stages. In order to repair the 5 transformations umbrella and upgrade it to a first-grade superior quality, Chen Mobai specially invited Luan Jingsheng, the original creator of this talisman. Wu Wan, an appraiser, was also invited by Chen Mobai to help. With many hands making light work, they quickly finalized the upgrade plan for the 5 transformations umbrella after 6 consecutive revisions, based on Luan Jingsheng's original talisman design blueprints. It just so happened that Wu Wan had his own weapon crafting and appraisal studio, so Chen Mobai took the newly purchased talisman paper and ink and began his formal work. What you learn from books is never enough. When they actually put it into practice, they encountered some problems that could not be shown on the drawings. However, Chen Mobai was already a Foundation Establishment cultivator and a student of the Dance Weapon Academy. He called his talisman teacher Su Ziu for advice and also consulted Ming Yihua, a genius in weapon crafting. Relying on his excellent talisman skills, he finally overcame all the difficulties and completed the upgrade of the 5 transformations umbrella in 7 days. Luan Jingsheng, who was observing and helping out, benefited greatly and now seems to have entered a state of enlightenment. Chen Mobai and Wu Wan did not disturb him and sat down in the tea room outside to wait for him to wake up. When Luan Jingsheng came out, he naturally thanked Chen Mobai. "You taught me the basics of talismans, so there's no need for such formalities." When Chen Mobai said this, Luan Jingsheng was also filled with emotion. The student who once had to personally deliver even the 3 volumes of the basic talisman manual at the Crimson Cloud Academy has now successfully established his foundation. However, Luan Jingsheng understood when he thought that Chen Mobai was a student of the Dance Weapon Academy. He's a genius after all. The 3 of them had another meal that night. It was originally agreed that Chen Mo would come for free, but in the end, Luan Jingsheng insisted on paying. He gained a lot from helping Chen Mobai this time, and felt that he could take the first-level talisman maker exam next year. Next, Chen Mobai met up with Chan Si and Shen Huangxiu. Shen Huangxiu did not look well. She tried to establish her foundation again this year, but failed once more. Moreover, she overexerted herself this time, which caused her cultivation level to drop and her vital energy to decline. It may take her 10 years before she can attempt the Foundation Establishment stage for the 3rd time. Maybe I really don't have the talent for cultivation. Shen Huangxiu looked at Chen Mobai, who had successfully established his foundation and whose skin was glowing, and drank her wine with a wry smile. Master Chan's qi is perfectly balanced. He should be attempting Foundation Establishment by now. After comforting Shen Huangxiu, Chen Mobai chatted with Chansi, whom he hadn't seen in a long time, and the latter nodded gently. She had already prepared a complete set of the 3 treasures for Foundation Establishment, but the example of Shen Huangxiu had cast a shadow over her mind, making her hesitant to take this step. "There is a criticality method in the National Library. You can take a look." Chen Mobai told them about this cultivation technique that increases the success rate of Foundation Establishment. After hearing him describe the miraculous effects of this technique on Foundation Establishment, the 2 women's eyes lit up with admiration. How come there's such a method within the immortal sects? How come we didn't know about it? The critical technique tests a cultivator's talent very much. 7 or 8 out of 10 of the 4 major academies can master it, while only the top students of the 10 major palaces can achieve it. Chen Mobai did not mention the success rate of the students from the 120 prefectures in cultivating the critical method, because the sample size was too small to be representative. In other words, Chen Si had already completed the qi refining stage, and Shen Huangxiu had no other options. Chen Mobai gave them a hint because they had time to study the critical point method. Not only them, but also his old classmates who had reached the 9th level of qi refining, he gave them all hints. Song Zheng, Shi Jingjing, Cao Yaling, and others had actually come into contact with the critical law in their own academies, but unfortunately they were still stuck at the gate. This critical method is really hard to master. They asked Chen Mobai for the secret, but he just shook his head and sighed, telling them that they could only figure it out themselves. Everyone could only lament their lack of talent. During the last few days of the holiday, Chen Mobai and his parents returned to Qingshan village to visit his maternal grandparents. He found a suitable spot, arranged the scene, and released the blood cart back into the wild. Originally, I only planned to invite Yan Bingxuan to come and visit, but thinking that it would affect the reputation of the beautiful Yan, I also invited all my old classmates. Consider it a farewell to your younger self. The scenery here is really beautiful. Looking at the lush grass, flying birds, and shimmering water, Shi Jingjing couldn't help but sigh and immediately pulled Cao Yaling to pick wildflowers. In the distance, Song Zheng sat on the water with a fishing rod, while Mo Simon and Yan Bingxuan started a fire to prepare for grilling fish. Lu Hengsheng fawned over Pu Jiangsu and Yu Shu. "Where's your female friend?" Mo Simon asked, emphasizing her words. She had originally thought that Qing Nu would also come. Something came up at the Jumeng Taoist Academy, so she went back first. Chen Mobai said with a calm expression. The day after Kong Feiken left, King Nu called to say that she wanted to improve herself and had decided to return to Jumeng Academy. Chen Mobai took her to the train station. Although King Nu looked a little haggard, she was still relatively normal. She was going to consult her mentor to see how she could rescue her younger siblings from the Ascension sect. "If there's anything I can help you with, just let me know." After thanking her, King Nu turned and walked into the station. Chen Mobai watched her figure disappear from his sight and couldn't help but sigh. "You seem to have something on your mind." Yan Bingxuan's voice rang in his ears. Chen Mobai met her clear eyes, hesitated for a moment, and nodded slightly. "Is there anything I can help you with?" Yan Bingxuan tilted her head and asked in her own way of comforting her. "It's nothing, I just feel that my strength is not strong enough. If only I had already formed my core by now." Upon hearing Chen Mobai's words, Mo Simon's expression became extremely stiff. "I never realized he was such a good actor before. Cultivators are never satisfied and are always pursuing higher realms. That's what my aunt said." Yan Bingxuan nodded, looking completely empathetic. Mo Simon opened her mouth wide and uttered a single word. "Huh." Yes, when you're practicing qi refining, you're thinking about foundation establishment. Now that you've established your foundation, you're starting to look forward to core formation. If you really become a golden core true person in the future, you'll probably be worried about how to form your nascent soul. Chen Mobai shook his head and smiled, feeling that he had been a bit too greedy and had tried to swallow an elephant whole. However, this was also because he had directly experienced the power of a golden core cultivator, and compared to them, he was indeed too weak. Let's take it one step at a time and start by working towards our small goals. I believe you can do it." Chen Mobai was a little surprised when Yan Bingxuan suddenly said this. "What? Core formation and nascent soul formation. I believe you can reach these two realms. You have that much confidence in me. The book says that agreeing with someone like this will make your friends feel good about you." Yan Bingxuan spoke the truth, and Chen Mobai and Mo Simon on the side couldn't help but laugh out loud. "You don't need to agree with others. Just act and speak according to your own heart. That's when you are most beautiful and most attractive to us." Mo Simon couldn't help but hug Yan Bingxuan and say to her best friend. "Yeah." Yan Bingxuan frowned slightly and asked Chen Mobai with some surprise. After receiving an affirmative answer, she nodded and then gave a very beautiful smile. "Although what you said just now was just agreement, My intuition tells me that you really are capable of reaching those two realms. What about the nascent soul stage? Chen Mobai asked again. That probably won't work. Yan Bingxuan shook her head decisively, which stirred a competitive spirit in Chen Mobai. What if I succeed? Then I apologize to you. That's really not sincere. Ahem. Mo Simon, noticing the strange tone in their conversation, immediately pulled Yan Bingxuan to continue grilling the fish. The fish is about to flip over, let's go. As Chen Mobai watched the two graceful figures disappear into the distance, he suddenly realized that he felt much better. The fear he felt towards the golden core cultivator began to dissipate, and his face brightened again. It seems that investing in these 5 blood carp was a very worthwhile investment. With this in mind, Chen Mobai came to the surface of the water, sat down next to Song Zheng, and helped him catch fish after fish. Afterwards, he opened 2 jars of Qingshan wine that his grandfather had treasured. Grilled fish paired with wine, everyone left satisfied. Are you coming back this year? Chen Mobai, who had boarded the train back to the dance academy, saw Lu Hengsheng's message in the class group chat, shook his head slightly, and replied with a single sentence. This year I'll be entering the treasure cave, a rare opportunity. I'll likely be spending a considerable amount of time cultivating in the back mountains and won't be returning. After saying this, he sighed in the carriage where he was alone. Not just this year, but probably for many years to come, he won't return to Danxia City. I long to buy osmanthus blossoms and share wine, but it will never be like the carefree days of my youth. After returning to the Taoist temple, Chen Mobai first went to visit Qi Yucheng. The latter said that they had already contacted Master Shaoyang, and there was no problem with going to Wanbao Cave. However, the relevant teacher in charge would have to return after the start of the semester before the necessary procedures could be followed, so they would have to wait a while longer. Having already waited half a year, Chen Mobai didn't care about the time anymore. After thanking Qi Yucheng, he had thought that the teacher would ask him about the Ascension sect in Danxia City, but he waved his hand to indicate that he could leave. It seems that golden core cultivators really cannot act rashly. Even when they collude with the Ascension sect, the immortal sects have not taken any swift and decisive action. Or perhaps the Skymending group didn't report it. Filled with curiosity, Chen Mobai enrolled in many courses in the new year. After all, he had already reached the foundation establishment stage, and the academy allowed them to skip classes and only need to take the exam at the end of each year. Chen Mobai estimated his energy and time and chose 3 major courses: talismans, puppetry, and sword control. Among these, talismans and puppets are the norm, while going to the sword-wielding department is to improve one's swordsmanship foundation. To his shame, although he has now mastered the sword rainbow-splitting light technique, he is actually only half-baked and completely ignorant of the first 3 realms of sword cultivation. His current understanding of swordsmanship is purely theoretical. Therefore, it is still necessary to sign up for the sword control department. In addition to the 3 main courses, he also enrolled in 6 elective courses: agronomy, herb identification, treasure appraisal, mineral identification, talisman ink pigment extraction, and calligraphy. Of these, agronomy is his top priority for the future. Whether he can make a fortune in the heavenly river realm in the future depends on his mastery of this subject. The herb identification and mineral identification are preparations for the future golden elixir. After all, Giantwood Ridge is famous in the eastern wilderness for its medicinal herb fields. If he wants to collect resources from the heavenly river realm to refine pills, he can't keep having his disciples search for each herb according to the patterns on the spiritual herbs. He still needs to be familiar with the various spiritual herbs in the immortal sects, and then find a way to translate them into the names in the heavenly river realm. This way, when he instructs his disciples to collect them, there will be no risk of exposure. The treasure appraisal was taken into consideration the thriving market for magical artifacts in the Tianhe realm. He couldn't possibly ask Wu Wanaming and Yihua to appraise every new magical artifact he acquired. Moreover, Wu Wan was only a first-level appraiser, so he couldn't help him much anymore. Although Ming Yihua was very loyal, Chen Mobai couldn't keep asking him for help, so he decided to learn a little about treasure appraisal when he had free time. Moreover, he cultivated the void-piercing spiritual eye, which allowed him to achieve twice the results with half the effort in this area. As for extraction of talisman ink pigments and calligraphy, it was simply because these two subjects were easier for him. Even if you don't study for a year, you can still get credits when you take the final exam. If Chen Mobai passes 3 major courses and 6 elective courses by the end of the year, he will have 21 credits. There are no other requirements, just exchange for 1 vermilion fruit. Thinking this, Chen Mobai dripped another drop of clear eye bamboo spirit dew onto himself, feeling the icy coolness surge into his sea of consciousness. The 2 green Paulownia seedlings in his purple mansion began to sway, seemingly quite excited. However, Chen Mobai did not immediately allow his divine sense to absorb the effects of the clear eye bamboo spirit dew. Instead, he allowed his void insight spirit eye to be satisfied before releasing his divine sense to visualize the green Paulownia seedling for absorption. After cultivating the void-piercing spirit eye, Chen Mobai used a mid-grade spirit stone to enhance his pure Yang Dharma body. During this process, he multitasked with reading the section on foundation establishment in the Pure Yang scroll. With this, Volume 1 comes to an end, following exactly the established plot outline. The content of the first volume can be condensed into a single line from this chapter. I wanted to buy osmanthus flowers and share wine, but it will never be like the carefree days of my youth. After that, Chen Mobai was no longer a boy. Because this volume needs to explain the basic background and also needs to develop the settings and differences between the two worlds, the word count is a little longer. I am very grateful to every reader who has made it this far. Thank you so much. The content of the next volume can be summarized by a line of poetry by the pure Yang Taoist. Since leaving the cave, I have had no equal. I will show mercy to others when I can. In Volume 2, Chen Mobai will begin his invincible journey in the heavenly river realm. Please look forward to it. Finally, since we're on the topic, let me report on the results. Overall, the trend is upward. When it was first launched, the average daily subscription was 1,300, and currently it's 2,600. We only need 400 more average daily subscriptions to reach the premium status. Based on the current trend of increasing by 20 orders per day, we should be able to reach an average of 3,000 orders per day this month. Finally, thank you all for your subscription, donations, votes, comments, etc. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 251, Sword Control Class. Chapter 251, Sword Control Class. Since successfully establishing his foundation with the longevity scripture, Chen Mobai has devoted some of his energy to the pure Yang scroll. After all, the cultivation methods in the heavenly river realm are not as detailed in their foundation establishment stage classification as those in the immortal sects. If he wants to break through from the early stage of foundation establishment to the middle stage, according to the experience of the heavenly river realm, it will take about 20 years on average. With no hope of breaking through the immortal scripture in a short time, and having consumed the foundation establishment pill during his foundation establishment, Chen Mobai still had unresolved pill toxins in his body. Therefore, after achieving foundation establishment, Chen Mobai spent most of his time pondering how to improve the pure Yang scripture. With his profound understanding of the foundation establishment realm, he naturally mastered the mere pure Yang Qi refining chapter with ease. However, because he had not yet achieved the 3 Yang body, he had never tried to take the step of foundation establishment, even though he was at the 9th level of Qi refining. Now, after returning from Danxia City, Chen Mobai felt that both his cultivation and spiritual power had reached perfection, and he could take that step. So after he returned to the Wuki Dao Academy, he had Qi Yucheng sign off on exchanging the Pure Yang Foundation Establishment Manual and the corresponding foundation establishment experience from the library. However, although Qi Yucheng signed the document, he made a proposal that really appealed to him. Now that you've already reached the foundation establishment stage, unless there's a large-scale war, you won't be drafted into military service. You'll have plenty of time to cultivate. So why not try to reach the foundation establishment stage through the path of enlightenment? Hearing the Tao, establishing the foundation. The original method of foundation building involved ancient cultivators, without foundation building pills or various spiritual aids, listening to the rhythms of nature, resonating with the primordial energy of heaven and earth, and bringing their divine sense close to the pulse of the Tao, thus forging a perfect foundation. It is said that this method of foundation building will bring unexpected benefits. As for what the benefits were, the heavenly river realm naturally wouldn't record them. However, the immortal sect has a lot of information. Some of them, during the foundation building process, elevated an ordinary spell to a level close to the third tier. Some were granted a privilege by heaven and earth, allowing them to enter and exit any place with water, their water escape skills being unparalleled. Even more so, some awakened the powerful bloodline of their ancestors, making their physical bodies impervious to water and fire, indestructible, and after reaching the golden core realm, they may even gain 3 heads and 6 arms, possessing great supernatural powers. In short, hearing the Tao and building a foundation will definitely bring benefits. However, the extent of the benefit depends on the cultivator's luck. But even the most ordinary method is enough for a foundation establishment cultivator to use a powerful technique that reaches the core formation level. Other chi refining cultivators, unless they have a heavenly spiritual root, generally do not strive to attain the Tao and establish their foundation, because they are almost never able to achieve it. But Chen Mobai is different. He has the means. Since he had already made up his mind to use the 2 phases technique to increase the probability of forming the core formation, he would definitely have to cultivate the longevity scripture to the foundation establishment stage. Now that the poison in the core had been cleared by Kong Fiken's medicine, he could continue to improve. While primarily focusing on improving the level of the longevity scripture, I will also cultivate the pure Yang scroll, hoping to one day encounter an opportunity to attain enlightenment and establish my foundation. This was Chi Yucheng's suggestion, and Chen Mobai thought it made a lot of sense after hearing it. Whether or not Chen Yang builds his foundation, it won't affect his status in the Shenmu sect. His persona is that of a swordsmanship genius. However, Chen Mobai still spent 2 days reading through the entire foundation establishment chapter of the Pure Yang scroll, so that he had a clear understanding of it. After the start of the school year, 47 students from the Sword Control Department, led by their instructor, arrived at the training ground. Of these 47 students, 19 were new students enrolled this year, while the rest were returning students who enrolled to earn credits. However, since none of them had taken any courses in the Sword Control Department, they were all placed in the first year to save educational resources. Hello fellow freshmen of the Sword Control Department, I am Zhu Gong. A middle-aged man with a square face and slightly short stature stood in front of the training ground. There were 3 people beside him. This man was the head of the Sword Control Department, the Golden Core Sword Cultivator, Master Zhu Gong. He spoke calmly to the 47 new students. Because I'm quite busy, your seniors will be teaching the first and second year courses instead of me. My teaching assistant, Wu Shizheng, who is also an associate professor at the Taoist Academy, will be teaching classes from the 3rd to the 6th grade. If you have any questions that they can't answer, you can come directly to my office and ask me. After listening, Chen Mobai was slightly surprised. He hadn't expected that classes in the Sword Control Department would be like this. On the puppet department side, Chi Yucheng was leading students from grades 1 to 10 all by himself. However, the entire puppet department, with all 10 grades combined, probably only has about 100 students, and after the 7th grade, they mostly study on their own. Therefore, Chi Yucheng was able to teach it all by himself with ease. The Sword Control Department is different. It's one of the top 3 departments in the Dance Weapon Academy. After all, the protagonists in TV dramas are always flying on swords, which is very cool. Everyone wants to look cool, so even if they didn't enroll in the sword mastery department right away, many people will choose to study there for 2 years after they've accumulated credits and finished all the easy elective courses. If someone truly has a talent for swordsmanship, they will continue their studies or even skip grades. Because there are so many people like this, Master Zhuogong couldn't lead them from beginning to end like Qi Yucheng did, so he came up with this method. Moreover, older students can take advantage of the teaching opportunities to review what they have learned and learn something new, so that they can truly understand the knowledge they had only grasped and make it their own. Quite coincidentally, the person Zhuo Gong Zhenren appointed to teach the first-year students this year was Zhai Jianbai, who was in the same year as Chen Mobai, the best swordsman in the class of 2012. I will observe the first lesson. After saying this, Zhuo Gong Zhenren walked to the cement steps by the training ground and sat down with his hands behind his back. Zhao Zhai, don't be nervous, just follow the lesson plan. Wu Shizheng, the deputy director of the Sword Control Department and also the teaching assistant of Master Zhuogong, patted Zhai Jianbai on the shoulder with a smile. His gaze lingered on Chen Mobai in the crowd for a while before he smiled, took a bottle of water, and sat down next to Zhuogong. Zhai Jianbai has a long face, and due to years of sword practice, his temperament leans towards the cold. He was very confident in himself, and did not have the nervousness that Wu Shizheng mentioned. As new students enroll, I need to know each of your basic skills in Kendo. Take a standard flying sword for practice and demonstrate your best sword technique in front of me so I can evaluate it. Zhai Jianbai proceeded very smoothly, following the content of his lesson plan. One by one, the students eager to show off their skills came up to Zhai Jianbai in order of the list, demonstrating their hard-earned swordsmanship. When it was Chen Mobai's turn, he held the standard flying sword in his hand, his expression very hesitant. What's wrong? Don't you know swordsmanship? Then show us a sword dance routine from elementary school. Zhai Jianbai thought that Chen Mobai had been focused on foundation establishment and had not practiced swordsmanship, so he made what he thought was a very good suggestion. No, but are you really going to use your best sword technique? Chen Mobai shook his head and checked again. Zhai Jianbai frowned. What's wrong with this person? How did he manage to establish his foundation with such a hesitant personality? Hurry up, there are still a lot of students waiting behind us. All right then, could you move a little further away? Chen Mobai's words displeased Zhai Jianbai, but considering that this guy had already reached the foundation establishment stage and might actually be able to unleash some powerful sword energy, he took 2 steps back. But Chen Mobai continued to look at him without using his sword skills. What's wrong now? Not far enough. That's enough. No matter how powerful your sword energy is, it can never hurt me. Zhai Jianbai finally lost his patience, his tone rising as he waved his hand to signal Chen Mobai to stop wasting time. He knew Chen was a foundation establishment cultivator, but there should be a limit to showing off. All right then, I'll control my strength a little. Chen Mobai had always been a good student, so when he heard his teacher say that, he could only nod in agreement. He gripped the standard-issue flying sword in his hand, and amidst the nonchalant expressions of the students behind him and the teacher in front of him, he unleashed a dazzling, deep purple sword light. Why did you come here? Aren't you here to help your disciple hold the line? Zhuo Gong noticed Wu Shizheng sitting down next to him and asked meaningfully. Although Zhao Zhai is only at the Qi refining stage, he has already mastered the sword Qi, which is as powerful as a rainbow. He can be regarded as a foundation establishment sword cultivator. Although Chen Mobai has already established his foundation, in terms of actual combat ability, he may not be a match for Zhao Zhai. Moreover, the first lesson was just to let the students know about the different levels of sword cultivation, plus to measure the student's sword aptitude on the spot. With Zhao Zhai's sword Qi as red as a rainbow level, it was enough to hold the fort. As soon as Wu Shizheng finished speaking and was about to unscrew the bottle cap to take a few sips of water, a deep purple sword light caught his eye, instantly breaking his composure and causing him to stand up abruptly. My apprentice has mastered the sword rainbow split light technique. Wait a minute, didn't he just barely comprehend the sword chi rainbow after failing to establish his foundation during this holiday? Upon closer inspection, Wu Shizheng realized that the one wielding the flying sword used for practice, unleashing a deep purple sword light, was not his apprentice Zhai Jianbai, but Chen Mobai. What happened? What is this person here for? Are you coming to study in first grade? Is it still necessary? With your skill level, you could easily get a direct admission to Zhuo Gong Zhenren's 7th grade. I couldn't even teach you that. Just as Wu Shizheng was in a state of confusion, Master Zhuogong, who had been sitting there, suddenly brightened up and disappeared from the spot. The head of the sword control department extended a finger and pointed it at the purple fire sword light that Chen Mobai unleashed with the standard flying sword from the training ground. With a hiss, Chen Mobai felt a numbness in his wrist. The sword light he had unleashed had turned out of control into a wisp of purple flame, which was held between Zhuo Gong Zhenren's 2 fingers. Like a small, fiery snake, it twisted and struggled incessantly, but could not break free. That's right, it's sword light. After confirming that the sword light unleashed by Chen Mobai was indeed the kind that only sword cultivators at the 4th level possessed, Master Zhuogong couldn't help but put on a stern face and criticized Chen Mobai with a look of dissatisfaction. You've already mastered sword light. Is there any need for you to waste your time here in the first year? Are you here to show off? Director, you misunderstand. I said I wanted to see each student's swordsmanship skills, and only after being repeatedly pressed did Chen Mobai unleash this sword light. Zhai Jianbai immediately explained that he was completely stunned when Chen Mobai unleashed the purple fire sword light. In that instant, he finally understood the difference between mortals and geniuses. Compared to the real genius in front of him, this so-called swordsmanship genius was practically just an ordinary person. Although Zhai Jianbai has a cold personality, he has a great admiration for strong people. After witnessing the power of the purple fire sword light firsthand, he immediately regarded Chen Mobai as a role model he should strive to emulate. So after hearing Zhuo Gong's words, she immediately spoke up to explain for him. You tell me yourself, why did you come to study here in the first year? With your foundation establishment stage, you only need to show up at the end of the year exam and you'll get 3 credits anyway. When Master Zhuo Gong spoke, the other 47 freshmen realized that this senior was actually a foundation establishment cultivator. Many of the younger students immediately looked at them with fervor, some with admiration, and some with a calm expression, though their eyes betrayed their envy, as they felt they too could have reached the foundation establishment stage in their 5th year. That's right, Teacher Zhuo. Although I have reached the realm of sword rainbow splitting light, my foundation in swordsmanship is actually like a castle in the air, not solid, so I have to come to class to make up for my lack of foundation. Chen Mobai knew that sword cultivators were notoriously bad-tempered, and Zhuo Gong often clashed with the principal and Qi Yucheng, so he immediately explained his situation. Huh? Obtained? Could it be that you, kid, have attained the foundation establishment stage and suddenly gained the sword rainbow splitting light realm? Zhuo Gong, looking astonished, imagined an answer. This wasn't without precedent. For example, the Yuan Yang ancestor had comprehended the realm of sword rainbow splitting light when he was establishing his foundation. However, the reason why ancestor Yuan Yang had this opportunity was because he had already mastered the sword Qi as rainbow before he established his foundation. Then, taking advantage of the opportunity to establish his foundation through enlightenment, he comprehended the sword rainbow split light in one go. Chen Mobai hesitated for a moment, then nodded. After all, it's best not to mention the realm that the great Tao tree directly bestowed upon the sword rainbow split light. He had prepared a similar explanation, but since Zhuo Gong brought it up, he simply admitted it directly. Yes, I am the one who attained the foundation establishment stage and obtained the sword rainbow split light. After listening, Zhuo Gong said something in a very sarcastic tone. Why didn't God have eyes when I was building my foundation? The opportunities for establishing one's foundation through the Tao are incredibly varied. Although it was very strange for a cultivator to directly attain the realm of sword rainbow splitting light without having practiced sword cultivation methods, no one present paid attention to this small detail. Don't linger too long below 7th grade. It would be best if you could move up to my class this year. After learning about Chen Mobai's predicament, Zhuo Gong stopped interfering. After leaving those words, he ended his observation for the day. He was quite satisfied with his grand disciple Zhai Jianbai, thinking that if he succeeded in building a foundation in the future, he might be able to let him watch the video of the immortal sword technique, treasured by the Taoist Academy. But now that he saw Chen Mobai, he knew that Zhai Jianbai definitely wouldn't get the chance this time. How come such a promising talent was taken by that figure maker? End of this chapter. Chapter 252, The Collection of Sword Demons. Chapter 252, The Collection of Sword Demons. After Master Zhuo Gong left, Chen Mobai was finally able to attend classes in peace. However, the gazes of the younger students around him were quite intense, so he had no choice but to speed up his studies. Under Zhai Jianbai's careful guidance, and with the added effect of the sword forging ring, Chen Mobai broke all records since the establishment of the Sword Control Department of the Dance Weapon Academy. 1 day of sword practice, and I've mastered the ultimate technique. 3 days of sword energy transformed into qi. 10 days of sword energy like a rainbow. In just 2 weeks, he went from nothing to mastering the first 3 realms of sword cultivation. Although this was partly due to his already understanding of the sword rainbow splitting light. In any case, in addition to his original titles of being #1 in talismans, puppetry, and agronomy, he now also has the title of #1 in swordsmanship. Zhai Jianbai, the former #1 swordsman, had no complaints about this. Because, among sword cultivators, they should naturally communicate with their swords. Chen Mobai's swordsmanship is stronger than his, so he is naturally #1. The Sword Control Department has a total of 10 classes, from lowest to highest. The first year mainly teaches sword training to form qi, and the second year teaches sword qi transformation into qi. Because Chen Mobai mastered swordsmanship in just 1 day, he graduated on the same day after attending his first class in the first year. The other 46 classmates were shocked, but they just took it for granted. After all, he was a foundation establishment cultivator, and it was normal for him to have such achievements from such a high level. Then Chen Mobai skipped a grade and went to the second year, graduating in 3 days. Then comes the sword qi like a rainbow, which is equivalent to the foundation establishment level. Master Zhuo Gong stipulated that this level would be taught for 4 academic years, from the 3rd to the 6th grade, and the instructor was his disciple and teaching assistant, Wu Shizheng. It is at this level that one begins to distinguish whether one has the talent to practice swordsmanship. Generally speaking, out of 100 people, only a handful can pass the course and successfully obtain the credits. Even those who can master sword energy like a rainbow have all failed a course at this stage, and it is the result of accumulating knowledge and experience before unleashing their full potential. It was precisely because of this that Zhai Jianbai mastered sword qi like a rainbow in his 4th year, and was regarded as a sword genius by everyone in the Sword Control Department. The sword rainbow splitting light that follows is already 7th grade material, and even Wu Shizheng, the associate professor of the Sword Control Department, has only reached this level. For a swordsman at this level to further improve, only Master Zhuo Gong is qualified to teach them. In other words, Chen Mobai skipped from the 1st year of the Sword Control Department to the 7th year in just 2 weeks. The 1st year students who had witnessed Chen Mobai unleash the purple fire sword light were somewhat prepared, but when they actually heard the news, they were still incredibly shocked. Chen Mobai was somewhat unhappy about this. If it weren't for Master Zhuo Gong's promise to count his skipped grade credits at the end of the semester, he really would have liked to stay in the Sword Control Department for 6 years. Anyway, as long as he passes the final exam, he's guaranteed to get the credits. However, since he was able to earn all 6 years of credits in the Sword Control Department ahead of time, Chen Mobai agreed not to waste any more time in the lower grades and skipped directly to the 7th grade of the sword control department. However, he didn't even stay in 7th grade for 2 days before Zhuo Gongzhenren kicked him out of the sword control department. Because the sword control department mainly teaches the sword rainbow splitting light realm from the 7th to the 10th grade, Chen Mobai's understanding of this realm is no less than that of Master Zhuo Gong. I have nothing more to teach you, you've graduated. After examining Chen Mobai's swordsmanship, Master Zhuo Gong sighed and issued him a graduation certificate. Wait a minute, Teacher Zhuo, aren't you a golden core sword cultivator? Your swordsmanship is far above mine. You must have something to teach me. Chen Mobai looked at the degree certificate from the Sword Control Department of the Dance Weapon Academy in his hand and scratched his head. He thought to himself that he couldn't waste his tuition fees this year. He stayed in the office and refused to leave, looking longingly at Master Zhuo Gong. You've mastered techniques like condensing sword light, splitting sword light, becoming one with the sword, and flying on your sword like an immortal. It's just that your mastery of these techniques is still a bit shallow. All that's left is to practice more. However, the immortal sect has not waged war for the past 100 years. In this peaceful era, I myself have nowhere to hone my skills and gain experience. What you have learned is enough. The next level is the 5th realm of sword cultivation, sword light condensing into evil. It depends on what sword technique you are cultivating, what direction you plan to develop in the future, and then you need to spend a huge amount of merit or join the relevant departments of the immortal sect to find suitable earthly evil energy. I cultivate the Zheng metal sword fiend, which is incompatible with your cultivation method and spiritual root. At most, I can only offer some guidance in terms of experience. Here's what we'll do. Add me on WeChat and feel free to contact me if you have any questions about sword practice. Master Zhuo Gong also felt that it would be a bit unreasonable not to guide a sword training genius like Chen Mobai, so he added him as a friend. Then I sent over the insights and reflections I had compiled while practicing swordsmanship. After receiving it, Chen Mobai took a closer look and realized that it was the textbook for the 1st to 10th grades of the sword control department. Teacher Zhuo, I've practically graduated from your class. If Teacher Qi asks me what I learned in your class, what should I say? Chen Mobai wore a bitter expression, thinking about Qi Yucheng's advice, holding his graduation certificate and sighing. Upon hearing this, Zhuo Gong's eyebrows twitched. Thinking about it, that makes sense. If this kid were to spread the word throughout the academy that he hadn't learned any skills in the sword control department, wouldn't it make me, Zhuo, look like I have nothing to offer? That's enough. Receive it. Finally, Zhuo Gong sent him an electronic book titled Sword Demon Collection, which contained all the sword demon techniques he had collected from various immortal sects. Chen Mobai glanced at it, somewhat disgusted. His Crimson Flame sword technique later evolved into the Azure Flame sword demon. So this thing is of no use to him, and because the immortal sect is short of resources, it can only collect 13 of the 72 kinds of earthly evil energy. Of the 13 types of earthly fiend qi, 6 are on the verge of extinction and are no longer permitted to be mined or extracted for refining spells or sword qi. In other words, the immortal sect can only condense 7 types of evil energy. Among them is the Azure Wood evil energy, because it is easy to cultivate. When there are many trees in the forest, it can be artificially cultivated. Danxia City and Yumu City can produce 1 or 2 of it from time to time. The combination of earthly evil energy and different sword lights can generate hundreds or even thousands of sword evils. But in reality, only a handful are truly cost-effective and powerful in combat. Turn to the last page. Seeing Chen Mobai's undisguised expression, Zhuo Gong impatiently told him to directly look at the results of his life's research. Chen Mobai said, "Oh," and turned the page to the last chapter. On the feasibility of combining multiple evil swords to form a sword evil formation. After reading the beginning, Chen Mobai exclaimed in surprise and couldn't help but turn the page to continue reading. Generally speaking, sword cultivators only condense one type of sword aura, because they need to specialize in one thing in order to reach the ultimate sword realm of one sword to break all laws. For many sword cultivators, especially those from the immortal sects, very few are able to master the sword fiend. Generally speaking, only 1 or 2 out of 10 golden core sword cultivators have enough wealth and strength to obtain earthly fiend chi and condense all their sword light into sword fiend. The rest of the sword cultivators could only purchase and condense 1 or 2 sword auras as a symbolic gesture to indicate that they had entered the 5th realm of sword cultivation. Under these circumstances, Zhuo Gong wondered if he could use 1 or 2 sword auras to unleash power no less than that of a fully formed sword aura. Besides being a sword cultivator, Zhuo Gong was also a third-tier array master. He was an expert in earth arrays and collected all the sword-wielding techniques circulating in the immortal sects. Finally, he wrote this book, The Sword-Wielding Collection. 2 Elements Sword Demon, 3 Phases Sword Demon, 4 Extreme Sword Demon, 5 Elements Sword Demon, 6 Imperial Sword Demon, 7 Stars Sword Demon, 8 Desolation Sword Demon, 9 Heaven Sword Demon. Each number from 1 to 9 has a corresponding concept and a solid theoretical foundation. But currently, the left palace has only completed the simplest yin-yang sword sha and 5 elements sword sha. The remaining experiments, lacking the necessary earthly evil energy for testing, are still only in the form of academic papers. Since the publication of this book on sword energy, apart from a few old friends with whom I have discussed it, you are the first student I have given this book to. I hope that in the future you will be able to complete all the sword energy formations I have envisioned. Zhuo Gong looked quite wistful when he said this. If he could, he really wanted to complete all the theories in the Sword Demon collection himself, but unfortunately he lacked the financial resources, and the higher authorities refused to allocate funds. Zhuo Gong understood this perfectly, since there were many more important experiments ahead of them. Perhaps only when war breaks out will the theories of the Sword Demon collection be valued by the immortal sects. Thank you, Teacher Zhuo. After reading it, Chen Mobai left Zhuo Gong's office with a satisfied look on his face, then went upstairs to Qi Yucheng's office. How about it? Qi Yucheng asked. Teacher Zhuo really did give me his most secret technique. Chen Mobai happily told Qi Yucheng about the Sword Demon collection. You're still too young. To everyone's surprise, Qi Yucheng sighed after hearing this. The Sword Fiend collection is not worth verifying in the immortal sect. Zhuo Gong has an image of an immortal sect sword technique, which is the most precious thing in the sword control department of the Dance Weapon Academy. I originally wanted you to take a look at this, and maybe you could even comprehend some of the mysteries of one sword breaks 10,000 laws. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai looked annoyed, as if he had truly been fooled by Zhuo Gong and regretted it. In reality, he was thinking that there were countless kinds of earthly fiend chi in the heavenly river realm, and he would check the information in the library or ask the transmission department later. After all, he is now a peerless sword genius that the sect leader is paying attention to, so it is normal for him to prepare for Sword Fiend in advance. Teacher, isn't the immortal sect sword technique supposed to be practiced only by the 3 palace masters? Chen Mobai tried to change the subject. Chen Mobai was also very familiar with immortal sword technique, one of the 7 great techniques for transforming into a divine being. This is the symbol of the Lord of the immortal sect, representing the strongest power of creation, battle, and slaughter. The 3rd generation of Kaiyuan Hall Master came from our Wuki Dao Academy. When he returned to his alma mater, he practiced a move of the immortal sect sword technique on the top of Chicheng Mountain. Qi Yucheng explained the reason, and Chen Mobai responded with an "oh." However, he felt that with his current level of cultivation, he would not gain much from studying the immortal sect sword techniques. It's not as good as this Sword Demon collection, which might shine brightly in the heavenly river realm. If he achieves the core formation in the future, and then asks Zhuo Gong to show him this immortal sword technique, the latter certainly wouldn't refuse. Even if they are unwilling, They can simply run for the position of one of the 3 hall masters. Anyway, my biggest dream when I was a kid was to become the master of a cultivation sect. Our current small goal is to achieve the foundational goal. Let's set this as our big goal for now. With that thought in mind, Chen Mobai asked Chi Yucheng about entering Wanbao Cave. You're lucky, the process is all done. Take this, Shaoyang will be waiting for you at the entrance to the back mountain tomorrow. As Chi Yucheng spoke, he handed Chen Mobai a recommendation form stamped with the official seal of the Wuki Dao Academy. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. Chen Mobai sincerely thanked the old man in front of him. He knew that without Chi Yucheng's intervention, not to mention whether the Shaoyang Zhenren, whom he had never met before, would be willing to make a recommendation, the relevant procedures on the Dao Academy's side would probably be delayed for some time. Prepare some changes of clothes and toiletries. The Wanbao Cave is a fifth-order spiritual vein. Although most of the spiritual energy is used to nurture magical artifacts, if you are lucky, you can still find a low-grade fourth-order cave to cultivate in. Chi Yucheng reminded Chen Mobai of the things he needed to pay attention to at Wanbao Cave, and the latter listened attentively and carefully remembered them. After returning home in the evening, he put everything into the storage bag, then put the storage bag into his backpack, stuffed some clothes inside to disguise it, and then teleported to the heavenly river realm. Standing atop Xianshan Mountain, a place he hadn't visited in a long time, breathing in the pure, fresh air, Chen Mobai felt exceptionally relaxed. They activated the formation and arrived at the mountainside. Wearing the gold-rimmed glasses he had bought from Danxia City, he looked down at the newly turned and leveled spirit fields and nodded in satisfaction. Zhuo Ming is quite capable. Some of the spirit fields have even been sown. Some have already been planted with golden-edged Solomon seal, which is the only second-tier spirit rice cultivation method in the Divine Wood sect. First, plant Solomon seal. After the Solomon seal grows, seal the rice seeds inside using a special method. 10 years later, split open the Solomon seal. The mature Solomon seal rice inside will absorb the fragrant spiritual energy of the Solomon seal and become second-tier Solomon seal rice. However, the Solomon seal will wither after the spirit rice is harvested. It's the same principle as picking bamboo fruit. This planting method was acquired by the Divine Tree sect at a high price during a major merchant auction, before the sect separated from the 5-element sect. Chen Mobai felt there should be a better way. The second-grade clear rice from my hometown, Qingshan Village, only ripens once every 6 years. This jade bamboo spirit rice is not only complicated to grow, but it also takes 10 years to ripen, so it definitely needs improvement. Chen Mobai dared not rashly take out the rice seeds that the immortal sect had improved over 1,000 years and were now fully mature. In the heavenly river realm, high-grade spirit rice is the lifeblood of those large merchant guilds. If it suddenly appears out of nowhere, it is very likely to be targeted. The only Tier 3 spirit rice seeds in the eastern wilderness can be purchased and planted by Huishan Valley, which has obtained permission from them. Every year, Huishan Valley spends a huge amount of spirit stones to purchase rice seeds from the Xingshan Grand Chamber of Commerce. Even so, the other 6 major sects in the eastern wilderness covet Huishan Valley's exclusive operating rights. If a core formation ancestor wants to maintain health, preserve vitality, and prolong lifespan, only by consuming third-grade spiritual rice can it be effective. Moreover, for many body-tempering cultivators, the best way to advance further is to consume high-grade spiritual rice year after year. In the eastern wilderness, this third-grade spirit rice has always been in short supply. Although Huishan Valley spends a huge amount of money on purchasing rice seeds every year, it can reap even greater rewards after the harvest. Moreover, the transaction of these third-grade spirit rice only accepts high-grade spirit stones. End of this chapter. Chapter 253, Divide the Treasure. Chapter 253, Divide the Treasure. Just as Chen Mobai was observing the flow of spiritual energy in the 60 acres of fertile land on Xianshan Mountain, Zhuo Ming, who had received his transmission talisman, arrived first. "Greetings, Master." Zhu Ming was wearing a straw hat, carrying a bamboo basket on her right arm, and her feet were bare. Although her feet were snow-white, Chen Mobai could see black spots of mud on her trouser legs. It seems that, when she came over, she was barefoot in the field inspecting the newly planted rice seedlings. After receiving his summons, although she washed her feet, her rolled-up trouser legs were still wet, showing signs of her previous busy work. "Get up, you've worked hard these past few days." Chen Mobai was very satisfied with this disciple. Although the Shenmu sect did not understand why such a promising genius like him had taken on an ordinary qi refining disciple, if they had taken on a heavenly spirit root disciple and asked him to turn the soil, dry the seeds, and cultivate seedlings, he would definitely not be as obedient and diligent as Zhu Ming. Putting aside everything else, even if I asked my eldest disciple Liu Wenbai to go farming, the latter wouldn't object, but he would definitely have his own thoughts. Sometimes it is disciples like Zhu Ming, who are used to hardship and come from a background of independent cultivation, who are more obedient and sensible. It's not hard work after all, it's also very helpful for my cultivation. After getting up, Zhu Ming demonstrated her cultivation of the Earth Mother scripture. In half a year, she had already reached the 3rd level of qi refining. Chen Mobai nodded and asked her some questions about cultivation. He had experienced the process of switching to qi cultivation twice and was very familiar with it. Although wood attribute spiritual power needs to be converted into fire attribute spiritual power before it can be converted into earth attribute spiritual power, some loss of spiritual power is unavoidable in this process. However, due to her outstanding earth spiritual root and the earth energy of the 60 acres of spiritual fields, Zhu Ming's earth spiritual power not only replenished the lost longevity spiritual power, but also allowed her to experience a rapid improvement and breakthrough for the first time. The reason she only recovered to the 3rd level of qi refining in half a year was not because she lost too much energy during the transition, but because she deliberately suppressed it. In fact, Zhu Ming still has 70% of the longevity spiritual power that has not been transformed in his Danshan. Yes, your ability to maintain such a calm and unhurried mindset suggests that you have a good chance of achieving foundation establishment in the future. Chen Mobai sensed Zhu Ming's pulse and examined the spiritual energy state within his disciple's body, then nodded in satisfaction. They are all at the 9th level of qi refining and have all received foundation establishment pills. So why is it that, among the 24 true disciples of the Divine Wood sect, only a handful of them have been able to successfully establish their foundation? The difference lies in these details. If any one of the following is deficient: comprehension of the cultivation technique, refinement of spiritual power, or nurturing of the spirit, the foundation building process will be very difficult to succeed. Greetings, Master. As the master and apprentice were discussing planting and transplanting rice seedlings, Liu Wenbai, who had received the news, arrived. "Come follow me up." Now that both apprentices have arrived, it's time to start dividing the treasure. Upon arriving at the wooden cabin on the mountaintop, Zhu Ming immediately went inside and brought out a chair, which Chen Mobai sat down without hesitation. During my seclusion this time, I have made further progress in the art of swordsmanship. Congratulations, Master. Before Chen Mobai could finish speaking, his 2 disciples were already overjoyed, even more so than he was. However, this is understandable, since in the heavenly river realm, the master-disciple relationship is even closer than bloodline inheritance. High-level cultivators have lifespans of hundreds or thousands of years. As they get older, their relatives and descendants are usually quite far away. The disciples who stay by their side, on the contrary, develop even deeper bonds with them. These magical artifacts were used by your master when I was practicing qi cultivation. They are no longer needed, so I'm giving them to you. Chen Mobai didn't mince words, since he had to go to Wanbao Cave the next day and time was of the essence, so he went straight to the point. With a wave of his sleeve, 4 beams of spiritual light flew out and landed in front of the 2 disciples respectively. Zhu Ming had a dark gold needle case and a wooden umbrella, while Liu Wenbai had a blue square handkerchief and a brass ring. The two apprentices looked even happier, but were both a little embarrassed. "Take them all." "Thank you, master." After Chen Mobai spoke, the two happily accepted the two magical artifacts in front of them. Wenbai's blue handkerchief is a mid-grade first-tier defensive magic artifact. The incantation to control it is very simple. You just need to inject spiritual power. But this brass ring is one of the things I relied on to achieve my current level of swordsmanship. I am passing this on to you today in the hope that you will also achieve something in the way of the sword in the future. As he spoke, Chen Mobai explained in detail the origin of the sword-forging ring to the two of them. Upon hearing that it was actually a secret treasure for practicing swordsmanship, passed down from the Golden Light Cliff, Liu Wenbai's expression changed, and he bowed deeply to him with great emotion. This is the passing down of a mantle. They genuinely regarded him as their disciple. Get up. However, in the realm of swordsmanship, talent is paramount. Your main goal right now should be to reach the Qi refining perfection stage and strive for a good ranking in this year's sect competition. With a wave of his hand, Chen Mobai used invisible spiritual power to pull Liu Wenbai up. At the end of last year, during the sect competition, Chen Mobai spent 2 days in Dangxia City with his relatives and friends, but he also took the time to go to Shenmu City to watch the competition and had a couple of drinks with his friends Qi Ruyuan and Kai Yi. Unfortunately, Liu Wenbai still lacked sufficient experience and fell in the first 2 rounds before the true master. When Chen Mobai opened the Divine Tree Secret Realm, he obtained that all the previous generation of disciples had taken foundation establishment pills. Those who failed had to come out of the mountains again to compete for the position of disciple, so last year's sect competition was more intense than the previous 2 years. However, without Chen Mobai, the monster who could overpower all others with a single sword strike, Mu Yuan undoubtedly won the top spot. As for the other apprentice, Zhu Ming, his focus is on participation and accumulating experience. They were eliminated in the first round. However, her opponent knew that this round-faced junior sister, who was at the 3rd level of Qi refining, was the disciple of Chen Mobai, the chief disciple of the true lineage and the newly promoted foundation establishment elder last year. So he was very gentle and only pushed her off the stage. The most regrettable thing is Qi Rui. He and Liu Wenbai went to Jinguang Cliff with Zai Jinghuo for further training. He felt that his swordsmanship had improved, and he believed that he had reached the peak of Qi refining in terms of talismans and swordsmanship. However, he unfortunately encountered Feng Hongsu, who had failed in foundation establishment and was starting over. He still failed the first hurdle before becoming a true disciple. However, after this battle, Qi Rui was full of confidence. Because Feng Hongsu also fought to the death with him and was defeated by Qi Hu in the next round, it means that he has indeed become a true disciple. He has 5 years left, and he is confident that he can master the true teachings and obtain a foundation establishment pill in the year the Jade Marrow Golden Fungus matures. Teacher, I will definitely not let you down. I will surely become a true disciple this year. Liu Wenbai put on the brass ring, infused it with his spiritual power according to the method taught by Chen Mobai, and felt the evolution of the sword energy, which made him feel full of confidence. He has already shown signs of breaking through to the 9th level of Qi refining in his longevity scripture. When he does, he will combine it with the sword forging ring to master the family's secret azure wave sword Qi. Even if I can't suppress all the true disciples with a single sword like my teacher Chen Mobai, I should at least occupy a position as a true disciple and not embarrass my teacher. Liu Wenbai, who believed he had already inherited Chen Mobai's mantle, secretly made up his mind. Zhu Ming, standing to the side, was also filled with envy. If one could defeat an enemy with a single sword strike, who would want to farm? This needle box is used for refining sacrificial techniques. After telling Liu Wenbai about the methods of refining his 2 magical artifacts, Chen Mobai turned to talk about Zhu Ming's 2 artifacts. Zhu Ming, who had never obtained such a precious magical artifact before, was immediately drawn to the needle box and the 5 transformations umbrella. When she heard that the 5 transformations umbrella was actually a first-grade, high-quality defensive magical artifact, she was shocked and opened her mouth wide. Master, this is too precious. For the same grade, defensive magic items are priced one level higher than offensive magic items, at least 1/3 more. If you put the sword forging ring and the 5 transformations umbrella together and let the cultivators choose, everyone except sword cultivators will choose the 5 transformations umbrella. You are the weakest among my disciples, take this. Chen Mobai's honest statement did not discourage Yu Ming at all. She happily took the wooden umbrella in her hand, and after using the newly learned ritual technique to infuse spiritual power into the handle, she opened the umbrella with a snap. Wenbai, give it a try. Following his master's command, Liu Wenbai raised the sword-forging ring he had just put on his thumb, which conjured a blue sword aura that slashed down onto the surface of the 5 transformations umbrella. With a whooshing sound, like the pattering of raindrops on an umbrella, Zhu Ming did not feel the pressure of the sword energy, but her face began to turn pale. Her spiritual power was almost completely drained. Chen Mobai immediately helped her put away the 5 transformations umbrella. It takes at least the 6th level of qi refining to barely master it. Zhu Ming took a breath and held the 5 transformations umbrella with great affection, her little face flushed and full of joy. If you have the chance in the future, you should practice the refining techniques of these 2 magical artifacts. Both the needle box and the 5 transformations umbrella are magical artifacts that require a lot of experience to use. In the past, Chen Mobai used these 2 magical artifacts to show off quite a few skills. As a native cultivator of the Tian realm, Zhu Ming has experienced many battles and has been in and out of the Yunmeng Marsh for several years. Once the longevity spiritual power has been completely converted, she thinks she should be able to break through to the late stage of qi refining. With these 2 magical artifacts, she might be able to enter the 3rd round of the sect competition. Thank you, Master. After his 2 disciples thanked him again, Chen Mobai earnestly asked them if they had any questions about their cultivation. Liu Wenbai was just about to ask for advice on breaking through to the 9th level of qi refining, while Zhu Ming, having cultivated earth elemental power for the first time, also had a lot of questions. After Chen Mobai finished answering all the questions, he realized that it was already dark. Knowing that their master loved to eat and drink, the 2 disciples, Zhu Ming and Liu Wenbai, went down the mountain to pick some fresh bamboo shoots, and Liu Wenbai caught some spirit fish that were released into the rice paddies. They each showed off their skills and cooked a lot of dishes. Chen Mobai even opened a jar of last year's Yuya wine. Oh, what a coincidence! Just as the 3 of them were about to start eating, a beam of azure light descended, and Yuan Che descended from the sky, smiling as he looked at the sumptuous family feast. Come on, we're just one drinking buddy away. When Chen Mobai saw Yuan Che, his eyes lit up, and he immediately beckoned him over. Although his 2 apprentices were quite good, they were a generation younger than him in status, and they were a little reserved when drinking with him. Yuan Che's arrival was just right. I was planning to visit you before leaving the sect to catch up, but I didn't expect to get to have such a good meal. Oh, are you going back to Yunmeng's? No, spirit stones were found in a Garan mine within the territory of Lei Kingdom. It may be a miniature spirit stone mine. The 6 major local cultivation families kept it a secret and did not report it. When they were dividing the profits privately, they had disagreements and many people died. The local sects discovered the clues. Yuan Che briefly explained his task. Although he had successfully established his foundation, he had not yet paid off the sect contributions and spirit stones he owed, so he accepted the task issued by the Spirit Vein Department. Are you going alone? Chen Mobai was a little worried, since those families that could be regarded as cultivation families by the Divine Wood sect all had foundation establishment cultivators in their ranks. I'm just going there to assist the Lei Kingdom sect in guarding the area and to investigate the output of that spirit stone mine. The sect has already informed Senior Brother Joe about this, and he will be leading some people from Yunming's to Lei Kingdom. The worst-case scenario is that the sect will take action and wipe out those 6 cultivation families. When Yuan Che said these words, he did so with utter nonchalance. It seems that for cultivators in the Heavenly River realm, annihilating entire families is just a common occurrence. However, according to the rules of the immortal sect, all resources in the heavens and on the earth belong to the state, and any private individuals who discover them must report them immediately. As a mortal force of the Divine Wood sect, the discovery of the spirit stone mined by the Lei Kingdom should indeed belong to their sect. Then I wish you a safe and successful trip. Thank you for your kind words. By the way, junior sister Yan discovered the cave of a Foundation establishment cultivator, but she can't break the formation by herself and wants to invite 3 fellow disciples to help. She came to me, but didn't I just accept this mission from Lei Kingdom? If you're interested, you can invite her to talk. When Yuan Che left, he gave Chen Mobai a message. Okay. Although Chen Mobai nodded, he really didn't want to go out at all. He's doing just fine here at Giant Tree Ridge, and he's about to enter the treasure cave. It's just a mere Foundation establishment cave. Let whoever wants to go there go. After seeing Yuan Che off, the 2 apprentices had already cleaned up the mess on the mountaintop. I have gained some new insights and need to go into seclusion for a while. Do not disturb me unless it is absolutely necessary. Liu Wenbai and Zhuo Ming looked at each other in bewilderment after hearing this. How come this master has gained enlightenment again? Neither of them has had that kind of sudden enlightenment experience since they started cultivating. As expected, the 2 mortals could not compare to a peerless genius like their master. After the 2 descended the mountain with respectful expressions, the cloud and mist formation was activated again, sealing off the summit of Xianshan. When Yan Jinai, who came to visit the next day, heard Zhuo Ming's words, she was filled with admiration but could only regretfully go to find another senior sister. Back of Chicheng Mountain, Chen Mobai, carrying a backpack, handed the recommendation form to a tall, robust young man with striking eyebrows and bright eyes. I am Qin Baikan. The person who spoke was none other than Qin Baikan, the Sheiyang True Man, Chen Mobai's formal mentor at the Dance Weapon Academy. End of this chapter. Chapter 254, Sheiyang Zhenren. Chapter 254, Sheiyang Zhenren. Hello, Teacher Qin. Chen Mobai greeted him very politely. Follow me. The formation in the Wanbao Cave is quite powerful, and we need a golden core cultivator to lead us in. Qin Baikan glanced at Chen Mobai, nodded slightly, and turned to walk ahead. The 2 arrived at the back mountain of Chicheng, one after the other. This is a valley nestled among mountains. As you look around, you can see streams flowing down from the mountaintops, lush green trees dotting the landscape, and colorful wildflowers blooming amidst the green grass. Arrive. Qin Baikan led Chen Mobai to the very center of the canyon. Looking down, I saw that it was a huge, bottomless pit. The cave entrance is about 100 meters in diameter, and the cave walls are steep. You can see tunnels that have been carved out, but it is unknown where they lead. Is this the treasure cave? This place is only mentioned in Legends Online, with no video or audio footage available. Chen Mobai saw it for the first time and found it rather ordinary. This place was originally an abandoned spirit stone mine of an ancient sect. Although the spiritual energy was abundant, it was only a third-order spirit vein at the beginning. Ancestor Yunya, one of the 5 ancestors of the immortal sect, discovered this place. He found that there was a mystery beneath the spirit stone mine, so he used the heaven-reaching great technique to break through the mine layer and reach the underground stream, where he discovered the first vermilion fruit tree. Beneath the undercurrents, hematite was discovered. Ancestor Yunya was not satisfied and continued to break through the earth's crust, finally reaching the core of the Chicheng Mountain spiritual vein and discovering a 5th-order earth vein spiritual pearl. Behind this is where Ancestor Yunya established the Dance Weapon Academy to pass on his lineage and great techniques. As Qin Baikan spoke, He reached out and unfurled a cloud of mist-like vapor, enveloping himself and Chen Mobai. Then, the two of them took flight and began to descend into the underground cave. Just then, a crimson light rose from the depths of the Wanbao cave, and Chen Mobai felt a terrifying temperature that could turn him to ashes. This is the fire element divine light inherited by our Dance Weapon Academy. It is a defensive restriction personally set up by the nascent soul ancestor. Even a nascent soul cultivator would not dare to trespass. As Chen Baiken spoke, Chen Mobai saw crimson divine light fall upon the two of them. The former showed his teacher's certificate, and Chen Mobai immediately took out his student ID from his bag. The fire elemental divine light swept over the two people's identification documents and then stopped in front of them. Chen Baiken immediately took out the recommendation form with the official seal. The fire elemental divine light seemed to possess sentience. After scanning the document and confirming that it was correct, it began to slowly disperse. A tiny spark ignited with a hiss. Chen Mobai breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the recommendation form in Chen Baiken's hand suddenly burst into flames. This means that his identity has been imprinted in the fire element divine light, and he can freely enter and exit the Myriad Treasures Cave with his student ID for the rest of the year. Let's go, I'll take you to see the manager of Wanbao Cave. Chen Baiken enveloped the two of them in his radiant mist and began to descend. Chen Mobai felt the surrounding spiritual energy becoming increasingly dense. After descending 300 meters, he looked through his gold-rimmed glasses and realized that they had already reached the third level. And this is just the beginning. The two continued their descent, and after reaching 1,000 meters, Chen Mobai discovered that the spiritual energy value displayed on his glasses was already at the mid-third rank. Upon reaching an altitude of 3,000 meters, the spiritual energy value reached the lower fourth rank. The outside temperature was getting higher and higher, and even with Chen Baiken's radiant glow blocking the light, he couldn't help but sweat. But this wasn't the end. At 28,000 meters, the right lens of Chen Mobai's glasses suddenly cracked in the middle. The limit of spiritual energy that these glasses can measure is the fourth grade upper level. Clearly, the concentration of spiritual energy here has exceeded the fourth level and reached the fifth level. Chen Mobai dared not make any rash moves and obediently remained under Chen Baiken's protection, only able to watch as the crack in the lens grew longer and longer. Arrive! Finally, Chen Baiken's voice rang out. Chen Mobai breathed a sigh of relief and stopped to take off his glasses. With a click sound, the mirror finally gave way and shattered, with one half flying out into the mist and clouds. Then Chen Mobai saw the lens instantly vaporize. The outside temperature is so high that it is beyond what the human body can withstand. He floated in midair, looking down to see rolling lava beneath his feet, the air thick with heat. Chen Mobai finally understood why a golden core cultivator was needed to guide him down. Deep within this Myriad Treasures Cave, a single misstep could truly endanger even a foundation establishment cultivator. Chen Baiken used his misty cloud technique to carry Chen Mobai towards the center of the lava. Soon, the two arrived above a dark red island standing in the lava. Strangely enough, Chen Mobai, who was initially feeling a bit hot, actually felt a cool breeze after stepping onto the island. Looking around, the island is not large, probably only 2,000 or 3,000 square meters. At the very center was a fiery red vermilion fruit tree, laden with plump vermilion fruits, which amazed Chen Mobai. Is this the only fifth-tier vermilion fruit tree in the Dance Weapon Academy? He followed Chen Baiken to a stone house under the tree. A woman with fiery red hair stood there. Chen Baiken bowed respectfully when he saw her. "Teacher Duanmu, it's been a long time." The woman with fiery red hair had an ordinary face and slightly dark skin, but a striking figure with a wasp waist, long legs, and an extremely tall stature, almost as tall as Chen Baiken. She is Duanmu Longrong, the administrator of Wanbao Cave and the vice principal of Wuki Dao Academy. "Yes, this must be your student." Duanmu Longrong turned around and looked Chen Mobai up and down, and the latter immediately bowed and greeted her. "Take it." A dark red iron piece, about the size of a thumb, flew from Duanmu Longrong's hand and landed in front of Chen Mobai, who immediately took it and thanked her. This is a piece of equipment. It is a key that can be used to unlock the magical artifacts nurtured within the treasure cave. One piece of artifact can unlock a magical artifact. As for what kind of magical artifacts you can unlock, it all depends on luck and chance. Thank you, Teacher Duanmu. I'll take him up now. After completing his mission, Chen Baiken did not linger. He immediately unleashed his misty clouds again, carrying Chen Mobai back the way they came, and flew to the cave entrance in the back mountain of Chicheng. Since I am your mentor, and this is a rare opportunity, I will do my best to fulfill my responsibilities. Chen Baiken led Chen Mobai to a pavilion on the back mountain. After they sat down, he asked the latter if he had any questions. Isn't this treasure cave said to contain tens of thousands of magical artifacts? How come I haven't seen any of them? Chen Mobai immediately asked. Before coming here, Qi Yucheng had only told him some basic things, such as artifact fragments and fire element divine light. His mentor was clearly a long-time resident of the back hill, so he couldn't let this opportunity to learn from him pass by. Then you should know the origin of the myriad treasures cave, right? Chen Mobai nodded, and Chen Baiken conjured a white jade ball the size of a head out of thin air and handed it to him. It seemed that this tutor also has a storage space. I just don't know if it's a magical artifact or a portable illusion. While preoccupied with other matters, Chen Mobai outwardly inquired about the origin of the white jade ball out of curiosity. What's this? The artifact nurturing ball is made by mixing spirit stone fragments with other spirit mineral materials to nurture magical artifacts. After sealing it with specially made spirit water, the magical artifact is placed inside, which allows the magical artifact to not decay or drop in grade even without a cultivator refining it. This was the first time Chen Mobai had ever seen such a thing. He picked it up and turned it around in his hand, and sure enough, he found a groove the size of a fingernail somewhere on the artifact ball. This allows the device to be inserted. The magical artifacts in Wanbao Cave were all sealed by cultivators who graduated from the Wuki Dao Academy before their death, and then returned here to personally place them inside. As for where the magic artifact is located in the Wanbao Cave, the Taoist Academy will not search for it deliberately. Therefore, over the centuries, the artifact-containing sphere could be found anywhere in the Wanbao Cave. The way to unlock the artifact orb is through artifact fragments. As long as your body can withstand it, you can go down to search an unlimited number of times throughout the year. However, you only have one chance. You can only take the artifact orb you want to unlock after you make a choice. Upon hearing this, Chen Mobai's face showed a look of sudden realization. However, another question immediately arose in his mind. This piece doesn't look difficult to counterfeit. Has no one tried? According to the experience of the predecessors of the Dance Weapon Academy, a foundation establishment cultivator can usually find 4 or 5 artifact-containing orbs in the myriad treasures cave in a year. Generally, many people will choose to take the one they are most confident about opening at the end of the term. So has anyone cracked this chip? You think this artifact fragment is what unlocks the artifact sphere? Chen Baiken shook his head, and suddenly a fragment similar to Chen Mobai's appeared in his hand. He then inserted it directly into the artifact-containing sphere in front of him. Click! A crimson light rose from afar, like a long fiery dragon, and disappeared into the artifact sphere. Then the head-sized white jade sphere turned to ashes in an instant, scattering across the ground and revealing a palm-sized crimson haze. It's crimson clouds and mist again. As Chen Baiken shook his head and sighed, Chen Mobai was already stunned. Teacher, what was that just now? If he wasn't mistaken, the artifact fragment he just saw was real, so the artifact-containing ball he had been playing with earlier was also real. As a full professor at the Taoist Academy, I can receive 20 credits every year. I can save up enough for 5 years to exchange for a magic artifact fragment. However, my luck seems to be so-so. I opened a duplicate magic artifact. To let Chen Mobai understand the principle of the ball-opening device, Chen Baiken gave a live demonstration. Within the Dance Weapon Academy, weapon fragments can also be exchanged for academic credits, each worth 100 credits. The containing weapon sphere is one of the masterpieces of our weapon refining department of the Weapon Dance Academy. However, most of the restrictions inside were set by the cultivators who sealed the magical artifacts themselves, and they are all kinds of strange. Therefore, after the artifact fragment is inserted, the two will attract the fire element divine light from the back mountain and sweep away all the restrictions inside. At this point, Chen Baiken reached out and scooped up the crimson cloud of smoke, then tossed it directly to Chen Mobai. "Take it, I already have a better one. I can't accept this." Despite saying that, Chen Mobai's hands had already involuntarily reached out, wanting to take the cloud of smoke, but a burning sensation made him involuntarily pull them back. The Crimson Clouds and Mist Robe is one of the signature magical artifacts of our Dance Weapon Academy. It is made from the spiritual energy vapors, hematite blocks, fire jade crystal fragments, and molten lava ejected from the magma at the bottom of the Myriad Treasures Cave. In addition to being used as a flying tool, it also has considerable defensive power, especially against fire spells, which it can basically block. After Chen Baiken finished speaking, Chen Mobai recalled the misty clouds that had accompanied him down to the bottom of the Wanbao Cave. Even at a depth of over 20,000 meters in the Earth's crust, the terrifyingly high temperatures were completely blocked, leaving him only slightly sweaty. This demonstrates the power of this magical artifact. "Thank you, teacher." The teacher shouted this sentence particularly loudly. Chen Baiken nodded and gave a few more instructions. "When you go down, you should see those tunnels that have been dug on the cave walls. They were dug out by ancient cultivators when this place was still a spirit stone mine. They are interconnected and spread like a spider web across the area of 3,000 meters above the Myriad Treasures Cave. Generally, this is the area where you students are active. If you go more than 3,000 meters underground, you'll have to find your own way, and there's no guarantee you'll get anything. You can choose a tunnel as your resting place. When you are thirsty, you can come up and drink some spring water. When you are hungry, you can eat some fasting pills. The spiritual energy here is the most abundant in the entire Chicheng Mountain. 100 years ago, the principal signed a contract with the immortal sect to extend the lease of Wanbao Cave for another 600 years. Since you are cultivating the pure Yang Scroll, then don't waste the powerful fire vein spiritual energy here. After saying all this, Chen Baiken got up to leave. "Teacher, let's add each other as friends." Chen Mobai immediately took out his phone, saved Chen Baiken's contact information, and then the latter disappeared from the spot. He's going into seclusion again to cultivate his pure Yang Dharma body. Chen Mobai looked at the crimson clouds and smoke silk in his hand and felt a little guilty. After all, he's currently using the longevity scripture to build his foundation, while the pure Yang Scroll is still stuck at the Qi refining perfection stage. Fortunately, the immortal sects value personal privacy and do not actively investigate other people's cultivation levels and techniques, so Chen Baiken still thought that Chen Mobai used the pure Yang Scroll to establish his foundation. Speaking of the pure Yang Scroll, at the end of last year, Ming Yihua attempted to condense 10 drops of spiritual energy into liquid for foundation establishment, but had to use the critical method to stop the breakthrough. However, compared to Chen Mobai, Ming Yihua is indeed exceptionally talented. It should be noted that Chen Mobai's first attempt at foundation establishment involved condensing only 2 drops of liquid spiritual energy. To complete the foundation building of the pure Yang Scroll, one needs to condense 15 drops of liquid spiritual energy to complete the step of condensing qi into liquid. Compared to him, if Ming Yihua hadn't cultivated the pure Yang Scroll, a nascent soul cultivation technique, he would at least have reached the stage of spiritual consciousness leaving the body, and might have even succeeded on his first try. Thinking of this, Chen Mobai made a phone call to Ming Yihua. I told him about the situation at Wanbao Cave, and he was itching to get started. As a weapon refiner, he couldn't wait to come and find a weapon-containing ball to open. Unfortunately, I can't get in. By the way, brother, how do you refine the magic artifact Crimson Clouds and Mist? Finally, Chen Mobai asked about the main reason for the phone call. End of this chapter. Chapter 255, Fire Spirit Route 53. Chapter 255, Fire Spirit Route 53. Chen Mobai stood at the entrance of the Wanbao cave and took a deep breath. The wisp of smoke and mist in his palm dispersed, like jade crystals shattering into countless fragments, overflowing into a pale red cloud that floated half a meter above the ground. With a light leap, Chen Mobai found himself standing atop the crimson clouds and mist. It feels like stepping on a soft blanket, very comfortable. It's just like the somersault cloud in the TV series I watched when I was a kid. Chen Mobai was slightly excited to receive his own personal vehicle for the first time. He unleashed a burst of spiritual energy from his feet, and the crimson cloud mist robe instantly emitted a pale red glow, carrying him upwards into the sky. The ease and comfort, so different from flying, made Chen Mobai involuntarily begin to indulge in it. Yesterday, I asked Ming Yihua how to refine the crimson cloud mist, and he immediately sent me a book that covered everything from the extraction of raw materials to the refining of the mist and the final refining process. Chen Mobai selectively flipped to the very last page. After reading the incantation manual, I spent another night practicing, and today I can finally wield this iconic cloud-shaped magical artifact of the Dance Weapon Academy. If using the flying technique before felt like pedaling a bicycle, requiring the exertion of the whole body. Now, driving the crimson clouds and smoke silk is like controlling a steering wheel. All you need to do is inject spiritual energy, and then use your divine sense to control the direction. Chen Mobai rode the pale red clouds, drawing rainbows in the air. Gradually, his movements became more and more flamboyant, soaring up and down, tumbling and drawing arcs. After a long while, he finally had his fill of playing. Crimson clouds and mist carried him like a red cloud as he drifted into the Wanbao cave. Chen Mobai saw the tunnel entrance on the cave wall, put on his gold-rimmed glasses with only one lens remaining, and began to measure the spiritual energy value of each cave entrance. Many are open, but some are marked with barriers, indicating that they have been occupied. According to established custom, he would naturally not trespass. He first tested his limits. The crimson clouds and mist continued to fall, quickly dropping 1,000 meters in altitude. By this time, his physical body alone could no longer withstand the high temperatures around him, so he had to use the mist and clouds to envelop his entire body. Relying on the second-tier magic artifact's excellent resistance to fire spiritual energy, Chen Mobai descended another 1,200 meters. Upon reaching this point, he felt that the spiritual energy within his body was being consumed too quickly. Although he felt he could descend another 100 meters or so, Chen Mobai thought it was unnecessary. He lightly tapped his foot, and the crimson clouds and mist began to change direction, carrying him upwards. Having already observed the spiritual energy concentration at most of the tunnel entrances using his gold-rimmed glasses before descending, he drifted in after ascending 800 meters, following a tunnel entrance that had been marked beforehand. After settling down on solid ground, Chen Mobai put away the crimson clouds and smoke robe. The ritual implement transformed into a red jade bracelet, which he wore on his left wrist, making it appear exceptionally beautiful against his fair and radiant skin. The tunnel was still a very primitive environment, dark and narrow. After walking forward for 20 meters, there was no light at all. Having anticipated this, Chen Mobai pulled out a handful of luminous beads from his school bag. This kind of low-grade first-level magic artifact only needs to be injected with a little spiritual power to provide light for more than 7 days. The highest-grade illumination bead is said to be able to shine for 1,000 years without going out. However, Chen Mobai's was just the most ordinary one. He used his teleportation technique to control 2 illuminating beads, which floated forward within a 10-meter radius. 2 beads were behind him, and 2 more floated beside him, illuminating a 50-meter radius before he began to move deeper into the tunnel. Record every step you take and measure the distance you have traveled. At the 367-meter mark, Chen Mobai suddenly stopped. He looked up at the sky. A sphere containing a vessel was buried there. The white jade-like shell shimmered with a crystalline jade color under the light of the illuminator. Against the backdrop of the surrounding reddish minerals, it glowed with a faint rosy hue, as alluring as a beautiful woman's skin. Chen Mobai floated up and stared at the artifact-containing sphere up close. The gold-rimmed glasses can only see a wide range of spiritual energy flow, so they are of little use at this time. Chen Mobai took off his glasses, and his originally dark pupils began to glow with a faint, clear light. In an instant, his vision began to change. The surface of the head-sized artifact sphere slowly became transparent, and Chen Mobai saw the spiritual liquid inside, as well as a long, rectangular magic artifact at its very center. It looks like a flying sword. Chen Mobai thought to himself as his divine sense and spiritual power surged into his eyes again in a certain proportion, pushing the power of his void-piercing spiritual eyes to the limit that his eyeballs could withstand. His vision expanded further, and he vaguely understood why each of the artifact spheres was placed in a different location. Within the hematite surrounding the white jade sphere, wisps of refined iron energy slowly and evenly permeated the outer shell of the artifact sphere. After being filtered by the spiritual liquid, they were absorbed by the central magical artifact. Chen Mobai stared at the rosy glow emanating from the outer shell of the artifact sphere, a look of realization dawning on his face. These are impurities from the refined iron energy, filtered out by the spiritual liquid. Once the effects of the spiritual liquid have completely worn off over the years, this magical artifact will no longer grow. In fact, it may even begin to decay and drop in grade because the environment inside the artifact sphere is no longer pure. No wonder when the artifact was activated, the entire sphere and the spiritual liquid had to be incinerated with fire elemental divine light. These are all useless now. When I was chatting with Ming Yihua yesterday, he said that the effects of this nourishing spirit liquid generally last from 100 to 1,000 years. The Xuanhu spirit liquid, a foundation-building spiritual item of the Wuqi Dao Academy, was an unexpected byproduct of the original refining of this nourishing spirit liquid. No wonder the Academy allows students who have reached the foundation establishment stage to come here to select magical artifacts, and even allows them to exchange academic credits for artifact fragments. Because many of the magical artifacts within these artifact spheres will gradually become useless if no new cultivator refines them for more than 100 years. However, there are two modes of the artifact-containing sphere. One is like the one in front of us, which is placed in a suitable area for the growth of the artifact, allowing it to absorb spiritual energy from the outside world in an open manner. That is why it was easily seen through by Chen Mobai's newly acquired void insight. The other type is completely enclosed. In this way, the spiritual liquid inside the artifact sphere will not be consumed. Without interacting with external spiritual energy, it is enough to keep the artifact as it was after 1,000 years, just like it was just sealed. The choice of method depends on the state of mind of the previous owner of the ritual implement before their death. Or perhaps, within the Wanbao cave, a suitable environment has been found for the magical artifact to continue its growth. Chen Mobai already possessed the flying sparrow hairpin and the divine wood sword, so he had no desire for magical artifacts like flying swords. Therefore, he chose to give up on this artifact-containing ball, leaving it to absorb the essence of refined iron and grow there. However, he still made a mark before leaving. Putting his glasses back on and following the traces of the flowing spiritual energy, Chen Mobai walked another 300 meters in the tunnel before finally reaching its end. There is no road. He used his insightful eyes to survey his surroundings, and after confirming that there were no blocked passages, he returned the way he came. When I stepped out of the tunnel entrance, the sun was already high in the sky. Half a day has already passed. Feeling that his spiritual energy and divine sense were still sufficient, Chen Mobai once again rode the crimson cloud smoke robe and ascended to the entrance of another tunnel with a higher concentration of spiritual energy. However, this time the luck was bad. It took most of the day to search all three intersections in the tunnel, but no artifact sphere was found. After leaving empty-handed, it was already completely dark. That's how my first day at Wanbao Cave ended. Instead of returning to the rented wooden house, he set up a restriction at the entrance of the fruitless tunnel to warn someone of his presence. Then, he took out a futon from his storage bag, held 2 spirit stones, and began to cultivate. Time flies like water. In the blink of an eye, Chen Mobai had already spent half a year in Wanbao Cave. Since he found a treasure-containing orb on the first day, Chen Mobai spent the first half-month exploring caves and searching for treasure with great enthusiasm. But it seems all his good luck ran out that day, and all his subsequent actions ended in disappointment. In the time that followed, he began to focus on his spiritual practice. Hard work pays off. With the abundant fire spiritual energy here, his pure yang body finally broke through again, achieving the 4 yang body. Spiritual roots: metal 23, wood 28, water 19, fire 53, earth 10. Seeing that his spiritual root was finally showing signs of genius, Chen Mobai was very gratified. Although his water and wood spiritual roots each lost 3 points again, seeing that his fire spiritual root had increased to 53 points, Chen Mobai decided to selectively ignore these losses. At least, according to the standards of the immortal sects, he is now a genuine top-grade true spiritual root. If placed in the heavenly river realm, that would be considered a super genius, second only to those with heavenly spiritual roots and other spiritual roots. With your spiritual root improved, you can try your luck in the divine tree realm when you have time. Actually, his water elemental root should have been reduced to 18 points. However, after eating the second-tier azure blood carp king given to him by his eldest disciple, his resistance to such spiritual creatures increased his water spiritual root by 1 point. After discovering this, Chen Mobai even came out of seclusion to inquire about Liu Wenbai's cultivation progress, and also asked about the pillar industry of their family. After asking, I learned that even though their family was famous for raising azure blood carp, they actually only raised 26 second-tier azure blood carp kings. These second-tier fish fry can only be purchased from the 5-element sects water veins. The method that Liu Wenbai's family has mastered is the method of raising first-tier azure blood carp, which can be hatched from eggs laid by second-tier female azure blood carp kings. For this reason, the 2 female azure blood carp kings that can lay eggs are the lifeblood of their family. When they bought the fish fry, they spent tens of thousands of spirit stones. Giving Chen Mobai a male azure blood carp king is already an enormous favor. After finding out the details, Chen Mobai knew that if he wanted to eat the azure blood carp king freely, he could only go to the 5-element sects water, vein, wind, and rain dock. Fengyuwu is located near the center of Yunmengs. That place is considered one of the most dangerous places in the eastern wilderness. After thinking about it, Chen Mobai decided to put the matter aside for now. Anyway, the 19 points of water elemental root he has left are enough for him to cultivate to the 9 yang body. After his fire spirit root reached 53 points, Chen Mobai finally felt the cultivation speed that a genius should have. In the uniquely advantageous environment of Wanbao Cave, since he had already cultivated his pure yang spiritual power to perfection, and could not improve his realm, he used his spare time after meditation each day to cultivate spells related to the fire attribute. He mastered all the techniques recorded in the Pure Yang Qi Refining Manual, such as Ignition Technique, Flame Manipulation Technique, and Fireball Technique, as well as the techniques in the Foundation Establishment Manual, such as Lamp Burning Technique, Flame Explosion Technique, Fire Stabilization Technique, and Yang Rising Technique, within the past 6 months. The Pure Yang Scroll is a great method for transforming into a deity, and the Wuki Dao Academy inherits the most fundamental method of cultivation. If you wish to cultivate the powerful Yuan Yang Sword technique, which is paired with the Pure Yang Scroll, it is best to borrow it from the Pure Yang Academy. Of course, if you have enough points, you can also spend hundreds of millions to download and redeem them at the Immortal Gate National Library. Another major benefit of Taoist academies is that the books and knowledge in the university library are provided to students free of charge as long as they reach a certain level of cultivation. Although the Wuki Dao Academy does not possess the Yuanyang Sword Manual, it does have the Xuanyang Needle Manual, the Lihuo Sword Song, and the Burning Heaven Great Art, all of which are supreme profound arts capable of being cultivated to the nascent soul realm and derived from the Chunyang Scroll. However, even the spells in the Pure Yang Scroll itself were already very useful to Chen Mobai. Leaving aside the 3 spells in the Qi Refining chapter, their literal meaning is to cultivate a cultivator's affinity for fire. Ignite sparks from the void, harness the flames and shape the flames. However, the 4 spells in the Foundation Establishment chapter are different. It has already fully demonstrated the profound mystery of the divine transformation technique. Among these, the lamplighting technique can be used to purify oneself and remove impurities. For example, if Chen Mobai takes a pill from the heavenly river realm and his pure yang spiritual power becomes poisonous, he can use the burning lamp technique to neutralize the poison in the shortest amount of time. However, that's not the most amazing thing. The lamp burning technique can affect not only spiritual power, but also the physical body's blood and qi, and can even temper the divine consciousness. Practicing this spell for a long time can eventually make a cultivator's body as solid as steel, their spiritual power as clear as glass, and their mind as brilliant as a gemstone. Moreover, this spell has no rank. After ancestor Yuanyang cultivated the burning lamp technique to the 5th rank, he discovered that there were even higher realms. The flame burst spell, which follows the burning lamp spell, enhances the explosion of flames, with its power depending on the spirit fire that ignites it. If Chen Mobai were to detonate the azure yang fire seed in his hand, its power would increase 3-fold. Moreover, this spell could be combined with any form of flame, making it arguably the strongest enhancement spell for fire spirit root cultivators. However, the only drawback is that the spirit fire will go out and disappear after it is detonated. Ordinary flames are one thing, but if Chen Mobai were to ignite the precious Qingyang fire seed, he would absolutely not be willing to do so unless it was a life-or-death crisis. Fire fixation is the exact opposite of fire explosion. This spell can be used to freeze burning flames. It is the highest-level fire-repelling technique of the immortal sects. The raising yang technique was, in Chen Mobai's mind, a mysterious spell second only to the burning lamp technique. This spell can only be cast by cultivators whose primordial yang has not been broken. By activating the wisp of innate primordial yang within their bodies and combining it with any flame, the flame can be evolved to a higher level. Not only can it enhance power, but it can also help one comprehend the innate mystery of flames returning to their origin during the process. In the past, when the ancestor Yuanyang was at his peak, he could use the Yang Ascension technique to directly elevate a wisp of mortal fire to the innate true fire realm of the golden flame of the sun, capable of burning mountains and boiling seas, turning meteors into dust, which was extremely terrifying. Chen Mobai tried it with the Qingyang fire seed. After being enhanced with the Yang raising technique, what was originally just a flame transformed into a fist-sized purplish-blue flame. Once the purple color in the flames disappears and turns into pure blue, it signifies that the azure yang fire has been completely mastered. That is, the pure green technique, a method for purifying the green yang fire, has been perfected. In this way, Chen Mobai can use this spiritual fire to condense the azure flame sword fiend. End of this chapter. Chapter 256, Using the Wood Spirit Talisman. Chapter 256, Using the Wood Spirit Talisman. Inside the Wanbao Cave. After practicing the spells on the Pure Yang Scroll for a while, Chen Mobai started practicing the longevity scripture. However, compared to his rapid progress in fire attribute magic, his advancement in this technique can only be described as lackluster. Besides the fact that his wood elemental root was almost half the size of his fire elemental root, it was also because he hadn't put in the effort. However, this is not entirely his fault. After all, when this cultivation method reaches the foundation establishment stage, it will be integrated with the pure Yang scroll and transformed into the resources for the latter to form the core. The power of the spells and other magical arts cultivated at that time will be greatly reduced due to the different attributes of spiritual energy. Therefore, there is no need to cultivate diligently. Chen Mobai was only familiar with the tree species and the use of the heavenly wood talisman. After all, the heavenly wood divine light array was the signature spell of the divine wood sect. However, the environment of Wanbao Cave is not suitable for practicing the heavenly wood divine light array. He always chooses to go to another small world. I took out my phone and clicked send. The mysterious tree realm. A flash of silver light appeared, and Chen Mobai's figure materialized. Since Turtle Treasure anchored in this small world, he has not yet fully digested his previous gains, so he only comes here when practicing the Longevity Sutra spell. Looking up, a towering tree came into view. It is the Dharma tree. In this small world full of trees, practicing wood attribute techniques is not as efficient as the enhancement of the pure Yang scroll by the Myriad Treasures Cave, but it is still quite good. After placing the tree seed on the heavenly wood talisman, Chen Mobai channeled the longevity spiritual power within his body into it. A crimson sun spirit tree rose from the ground beside him, transforming into a domain that protected him within. Chen Mobai reached out and touched the tree trunk, drawing out a wisp of celestial wood spiritual light. Under his divine sense, it transformed into swords, spears, halberds, trains, airplanes, and so on. This is precisely the heavenly wood spiritual light mentioned in the scripture of immortality. When cultivated to the highest level, it becomes the heavenly wood divine light. If there were other Shenmue sect cultivators present, they would be astonished to see him shaping and changing spiritual light at will. It should be noted that even Mu Yuan, the top disciple of the true lineage, with his exceptional talent, could only transform the heavenly wood spiritual light into 6 forms. Even so, it was enough to amaze the cultivators in the sect. In the blink of an eye, Chen Mobai completed 10 transformations of the spiritual light. This is naturally not because Chen Mobai's talent surpasses Mu Yuan's, but mainly due to his gains in this divine wood realm. After the heavenly wood spiritual light, he practiced the spirit leaf technique, the wooden arrow technique, and so on. After completing his routine practice, he sat down and cultivated in the heavenly wood divine light array for half a day. This small domain could also gather wood spiritual energy to assist in cultivation, making it truly versatile. Although the spiritual veins in this world are not of a high level, because they are all made of wood spiritual energy, the speed of cultivating longevity spiritual power is actually faster than that of Wanbao Cave and Zion Mountain. After finishing his practice, Chen Mobai opened his eyes with satisfaction, feeling the 11th drop of liquid spiritual energy that had been condensed within his body. The feeling of progress is fascinating. According to the description of the 11th level of the longevity scripture, after condensing 35 drops of liquid spiritual power, one can attempt to break through to the mid-foundation establishment stage. However, due to the vast differences between people, this number is only for reference. It is said that in the past, due to his profound foundation, Ancestor Joe had been accumulating 50 drops of liquid spiritual power, which allowed him to naturally break through to the mid-stage of foundation establishment. Chen Mobai, however, felt that the sooner he broke through, the better. After all his longevity spiritual power will eventually be merged and absorbed by pure Yang spiritual power, so even the deepest foundation is useless. He has a very clear understanding of himself. I stopped playing around with overflowing spiritual energy and just naturally broke through. After all, his talent was average, so his cultivation was not fast to begin with. Once the conditions for a breakthrough are met, with the help of the various breakthrough pills available from the immortal sect, we'll raise our cultivation level first. Having clarified his plan, Chen Mobai put away the tree seeds beside him and looked up at the towering trees not far away. He walked up to the magic tree and reached out to try again. He injected a newly condensed drop of liquid spiritual energy into the tree trunk, but after waiting for a long time, there was still no reaction. Just as I expected, Chen Mobai muttered to himself. During the past 6 months, he conducted numerous experiments on this magical tree. As long as the spiritual energy has been injected before, whether your realm has improved or regressed, it's as if you've already been certified and won't be guided to the treetop to pick fruit again. Unless, of course, one cultivates a new technique. Chen Mobai had also tried this approach. After realizing this method, he specially practiced the black water technique and cultivated a wisp of black water spiritual power. It does have an effect. He was teleported back to the canopy of the magic tree and received a black fruit. However, upon opening it, all that was found was a drop of sap from the immortal tree. He tried a few more times and finally came to a conclusion. The fruits given by the magic treasure tree are based on the infused spiritual power, supplemented by factors such as spiritual roots, providing the most suitable spiritual objects for a cultivator's development. For example, Chen Mobai cultivated the longevity scripture and possessed a powerful divine sense, which led to the gift of the extremely precious azure wood spirit heart. Pure Yang spiritual power is of extremely high quality, encompassing almost all the properties of fire spiritual power, which is why the magic tree gave it the azure Yang fire seed. He was the first in the history of the Shenmu sect to achieve this. However, according to Chen Mobai's speculation, if he had injected pure Yang spiritual power at the foundation establishment level, he might have directly given the real azure Yang fire. Instead of being a spark, one must find ways to improve oneself. The black water spiritual power he cultivated in one night, although of good quality, was, in the eyes of the magic tree, the weakest spiritual power ever injected into its body. Therefore, they only gave 1 drop of immortality tree sap. Although this is a good thing, a supreme spiritual item for body tempering that can strengthen any part of the body, it is still far too rare. Chen Mobai tried again, spending 3 days cultivating the black water technique to the 4th level of qi refining, hoping to gain something from the magic treasure tree once more. However, since spiritual energy had already been injected, there was no reaction. Having reached this conclusion, he could only regretfully abandon his grand plan to practice more qigong techniques and harvest all the fruits of the magic treasure tree. In comparison, the talent tree is much more sensitive. Even the slightest change in one's spiritual root can give you something different. During Chen Mobai's cultivation of the pure Yang Dharma body, from the 3 Yang body to the 4 Yang body, he would go through the talent tree every time his spiritual root changed. On the previous 2 occasions, he obtained the 100 transformations of spiritual light, the searching heaven and earth technique, the fire-repelling technique, and the fire serpent technique. Among these, the 100 transformations of spiritual light technique is used in conjunction with the heavenly wood spiritual light of the longevity scripture. Within the divine wood sect, the shaping and transformation of the heavenly wood spirit light rely on the cultivator's own experience and combat skills. Although there are records of previous cultivators' insights on this subject in the library, they are basically adapted to the cultivators themselves, and later generations can only learn from them. However, the spiritual light transformation technique that Chen Mobai obtained was different. It was the authentic version from the longevity sect. Perhaps in ancient times, heavenly wood spiritual light was meant to be cultivated in conjunction with spiritual light 100 transformations technique in order to unleash its maximum power. The searching heaven and earth method is a technique for utilizing divine sense. In theory, with limitless divine sense, one can gather every single speck of dust in a world, making it an essential skill for hunting down enemies. Of course, this is on the premise that the other party does not have a means to block divine sense. The fire-repelling technique and the fire serpent technique were much simpler. With Chen Mobai's current spiritual root and cultivation level, he learned them all after just 1 glance. I wonder what I will gain from this change in my spiritual root. With this in mind, Chen Mobai rode the crimson cloud silk robe and soared into the sky, resembling a fiery cloud. He also conducted many experiments on the talent tree. He had even tried to inject the barely perceptible wisp of black water spiritual power into his body, but the talent tree didn't react at all. It seems to be saying that such a mediocre person is not worthy of receiving the great teachings of the longevity cult. After landing, Chen Mobai immediately and skillfully channeled his essence, energy, and spirit into the talent tree. Before long, he obtained 2 more methods from the longevity sect: the art of gathering soldiers with spiritual light, the fire chain technique. After closing his eyes and reading it, Chen Mobai couldn't help but marvel. The longevity cult truly lives up to its reputation as an ancient sect, possessing countless ingenious and wondrous techniques. This spiritual light gathering technique is another direction for enhancing the spiritual light of the heavenly wood. It is a method that uses the spiritual light of heavenly wood to absorb the essence of various wood attribute magical artifacts and transform them into the cultivator's natal magic treasure. Theoretically, it can be upgraded infinitely as the cultivator's realm improves. This reminded Chen Mobai of an ancient lineage from the immortal sect. After reaching the foundation establishment stage, he already had the authority to consult some ancient Taoist materials in the library of the Dance Weapon Academy. One of the lineages is called Rui Gate. The cultivators of this lineage refine a mouthful of Hun Tian Yuan Jing, gathering the primordial energy of heaven and earth, all things, metals and stones, and the essence of living beings, which can be transformed into any magical treasure, making it the most extraordinary technique. The spiritual light weapon gathering technique is similar in concept to the Rui sect. However, compared to the Rui sect's lack of dietary restrictions, this one seems to only be able to absorb wood attribute magical artifacts. Chen Mobai took out the divine wood sword, intending to try it out, but ultimately put it away. He felt that, after the heavenly wood spirit light absorbed the divine wood sword, its power might not be as great as the divine wood sword itself. Moreover, he doesn't have many second-tier magic weapons on him right now, and the divine wood sword is just a disguise on the surface, so it's best not to waste it. Then I looked at the fire chain spell, which is a spell that twists flames into the shape of ropes and chains to seal off enemies. After practicing once and feeling he had mastered it, Chen Mobai began today's main topic. He took out the wooden spirit talisman from his storage bag. He had wanted to try it for a long time, but I haven't had the time until now. Now that I've mastered the 4-yang body, I'm going to find out more. Without further hesitation, he channeled his spiritual power, and the wooden talisman transformed into a verdant radiance, enveloping his entire body. In an instant, he gained a new understanding of the longevity scripture technique. It seemed that his previous understanding was too one-sided. It should be like this. Moreover, Chen Mobai also realized that he might have gone astray in his practice of the spells related to this technique. Is this the heavenly wood spiritual root? That's incredible. While marveling at the power of the talisman, Chen Mobai also took out his spirit testing instrument to check his current spiritual root attributes. Spiritual roots: metal 23, wood 100, water 19, fire 53, earth 10. According to the owner of the Wood Spirit Talisman shop, once activated, this Wood Spirit Talisman will directly grant the user 80 points of Wood Spirit Root. Since Chen Mobai already had 28 points, the total should be 108 points after the talisman is activated. However, the maximum number that this spirit testing device can display is 100, so it became Wood 100. Although I know it will only be effective for 1 hour. But when he actually saw the wood spirit root filling the screen, Chen Mobai still felt a sense of satisfaction. However, he did not forget the important matter. He reached out and touched the talent tree again. Wood elemental power, free from poison, top grade. Single attribute, heavenly wood spiritual root, immortal grade. Stable spiritual consciousness, expansive dantian, top grade. Overall evaluation, top tier, suitable for candidates for Holy Sun Daughter, awarded the complete set of two-phase reincarnation technique. A streak of emerald light descended from the sky and landed on Chen Mobai's brow. When he saw that the reward was actually the two-phase skill, he almost couldn't help but curse. He had already exchanged for this item at the Shenmu sect. However, his level of understanding has improved, and his character has been elevated. He noticed two extra words and thought that it might be a little different from the Shenmu sect's two phases technique, so he read on carefully. After reading it, Chen Mobai opened his eyes wide, his expression bright and refreshed. It's definitely different. This two-phase revolving skill has an additional first volume compared to the two-phase skill of the Shenmu sect, supplementing a very important key point. That is, how a cultivator can cultivate both foundation-building techniques to perfection, while their lifespan is limited, and their essence, energy, and spirit are still at their peak. According to the research of the immortal sects, the success rate of breaking through major realms is highest before one's lifespan is more than halfway over. For example, there are 60 major limits in the foundation building stage. The same applies to the formation of the golden core. Foundation establishment cultivators have a lifespan of 4 Jiazi, 60 years, meaning it's best to form the core before the age of 120, as this ensures their essence, energy, and spirit are at their peak, maximizing their chances of breaking through. However, the two phases technique, a supreme profound skill that can increase the probability of forming a core, is generally only valued by the Divine Wood sect within the Five Elements sect, and is only allowed to be practiced by its true disciples. The extra 60 years of lifespan gained after establishing the foundation of the Longevity Sutra is crucial. Without this 60-year lifespan, basically no cultivator in the Eastern Wilderness would be able to cultivate both foundation establishment techniques to perfection at the peak of their essence, energy, and spirit. Even so, from the Five Elements sect to the Divine Wood sect, there are very few who can cultivate the two linked techniques of the two phases skill to the foundation establishment stage before the age of 180. As an ancient and powerful sect, the longevity cult naturally discovered this problem as well. The method for resolving this issue through cultivation is also included in the first volume of the two-phase revolving technique. Or to put it another way, this first volume records the prerequisites for practicing the two phases technique. The same line of thinking as Chen Mobai. First, use every means to improve the cultivation technique that will eventually be devoured and integrated into resources. Don't worry about its weak foundation or shallow spiritual power, because it will be consumed by another rotating cultivation technique anyway. How did the longevity cult achieve such rapid advancement? Consume the fruit of the immortal tree. This presents a problem. After consuming the fruit of the tree of immortality, although one's cultivation level breaks through, the power of this spiritual object will consume one's lifespan, and one may even be imprisoned at the level after the breakthrough for a long time. The solution from the Changsheng sect is quite simple. If your lifespan is exhausted, then take elixirs to prolong your life. If the spiritual power level increased by consuming tree fruits is restricted, then consume tree fruits of higher grade to cover it up. The first volume of this two-phase revolving exercise records these things. From the early to the middle stages of foundation establishment, one can break through by consuming the small fruit of the longevity tree. From the mid to late stage of foundation building, consume longevity tree fruit medium. From the late foundation establishment stage to the perfected false core stage, one consumes the longevity tree fruit large. Small fruit, medium fruit, large fruit. The advanced path is very clear and straightforward. Finally, when the cultivator reaches the core formation stage, the spiritual power obtained by the cultivator through the shortcut of the longevity tree fruit at the foundation establishment perfection stage will be devoured by the spiritual power obtained through the proper cultivation of the other branch of the two phases technique. With spiritual energy gone, the shackles of the longevity tree fruit on cultivation levels naturally disappear as well. Chen Mobai couldn't help but feel deep admiration for the longevity cult, which had come up with this method. This chapter makes up for yesterday's. There will be another chapter tonight. End of this chapter.